By Sumner One.
Good morning. Oh, you need to. Is my microphone already on, Matthew? It's on? So I can say it now? Oh, good. Awesome. That's so cool. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on Christmas week 2023. Brooke Grimsley, Carrie Davis, Randy Carricker at 7 o'clock in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Good morning, kids. How was your weekend?
Good morning.
You excited about Christmas? Everybody ready?
Yes, I was not expecting that this morning.
Oh, man, I got Christmas music galore for this week.
And I love that song. I know some people say that it's overplayed, but I love that song.
It's a good song.
It's the best-selling Christmas song of all time, I believe.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And she wrote that, so she is just pocketing all that money.
Yeah, you know what? That'd be a fun Google search. How much money does Mariah Carey make from
one song?
Yeah.
Enough to never do anything ever again?
Yeah. It's
nice.
it was I think was it Matthew Perry and all the Friends people making $20 million a year off of residuals?
Yes.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
Were they really?
Yes.
Yeah, $20 million a year. So all you have to do
after
is
the show was in syndication, they no longer needed to do anything.
So all you have to do is sit back and relax in your pool.
Oh,
Randy.
Well, I wasn't even thinking of. Oh.
Randy, it is 7:01. It's too early for that.
Oh, my Lord.
No. Oh, man. Anyways, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Chris Kerber will join us later in the show. We got 3 things we loved about the weekend, a little NFL talk. Interesting comments this weekend from your Pobo of your St. Louis Cardinals, John Mozeliak. Very interesting stuff. And our St. Louis Blues and longtime fan favorite Jordan Kyrou coming through on Saturday night over at Enterprise Center. The Blues coming away with an overtime victory, 4-3 over the Dallas Stars. How'd it go, Jordan? How'd it go, Jordy? Kaisi? Ruzi?
There you go. And cheers, guys. Cheers from the fans.
Oh, big time. He
cheers.
deserved it. Yeah, he had a goal to tie the game at 2-2 after the Blues had fallen behind by a score of 2-0. Then Hazy put the Blues up 3-2 before Dodonov tied it for the Stars, but the game went to overtime. And in the first minute of overtime, another longtime St. Louis fan favorite came through.
3 straight drop passes now, and it's Kyrou working the puck over the line. Skates it in, drives the middle, left there. Blues shoot, they score! Parayko, game winner! Bring out the Zamboni, set up by the third, point by Kyrou. 4-3 final. Blues win tonight on a Saturday night in St. Louis.
And all of a sudden, your St. Louis Blues are back in the playoff hunt after dropping 4 in a row. Their victory on Saturday night got them within a point of the second wild card spot in the NHL's Western Conference. Arizona has a 1-point lead over the Blues.
2 wins in a row.
It's a roller coaster.
Are we bought in yet, or are we going to just continue to watch and wait and see?
What do you?
I think that you still have to wait and see, right? Because, of course, it feels like there's always that bump after there's a coach firing, a new guy coming in. Jordan Kyrou, obviously, seems to be doing a lot better, which is a huge positive. But you have to wait and see, because what have we seen so far with the Blues this season?
They're a roller coaster.
Up and down.
Yeah.
Not up and down.
However, that being said, when taking the job, Stanley Tucci said that he felt like in his time...
Who?
The Blues head coach, Stanley Tucci. I've watched the games. I see who's behind the bench.
Wait, isn't he an actor?
Well, I don't know, but he's a hockey coach. I mean, I've seen him a million. Doesn't he have a show on CNN, a cooking show in Italy?
Yeah, and he was like on Hunger Games. Man, he is busy. And he's coaching the Blues?
Booked
Wow.
and busy.
He does look exactly like
He
him.
does.
Amazing. It's great. But Drew Bannister said that he could count on one time the times in Springfield or with the Blues minor league affiliate, he could count on one hand the times that he didn't feel like he got max effort from his team. So if he can get max effort out of this group, then they have a really good chance to finish third in their division or be a wild card team.
Okay. I wonder what it is that if he's able to get max effort, because clearly that was one of the hang-ups for Berube, just every single night not getting guys to show up with the effort and energy. He needs to do a course on it, because if there's a way to get this team to play that way every single night, then they're going to be a pretty good team. But they haven't shown the ability to do it every single night.
It's just a bizarre thing in hockey. And every hockey coach, I mean, I think Peter Laviolette might be on his 6th team, and he's won a lot of places, but then he loses the ear. And it happens all the time with hockey coaches, how they get whacked one place, and then they go to the next place, and the team is good for 2-3 years, and then all of a sudden players quit listening to them. And a pox on the players, by the way, for getting lazy and getting coaches fired. It happens. It happened to Joel Quenneville here, for gosh sakes. It happens all the time. Happened to Hitch, right? Happened to Yo. And I don't know why it is indigenous to hockey, but players quit on coaches on a regular basis.
Well, it's just like we talked about last week, right? It's worse than college football, if not the same, where in college football, it seems like you just get a few years and then you might be out the door. You might be doing well for a little bit, you're out the door, but then it's just like they get recycled. They just go to a different location and it works for a little bit and then it doesn't. In the NHL, maybe that's part of it. The players just kind of know, well, this is the way it goes, right? Is that the coach does well for a little bit, message goes stale, we're ready for somebody else to come in. Is that maybe just a mentality thing where the players know that this is just how the NHL goes?
I would say that is part of it, that they just say, okay, I want a new voice. I'm tired of this voice. Credit, by the way, to John Cooper in Tampa, who's been there forever now, not literally forever, but for a long time for a hockey coach. He's been around for a long time, and there aren't many guys. Cooper started in 2013. Mike Sullivan started with the Penguins in 2015. And then Berube was 5th on the seniority list. But if you look at the guys now that are in the NHL, most of them are on, Cooper aside, 2nd, 3rd, 4th times. And they're just going to keep getting recycled because players know, hey, we can get a new voice. Sometimes, though, it gets kind of scary because you wind up with John Tortorella.
Yeah. It doesn't work out that well.
Or Mike Babcock.
Oh, yeah, that didn't work out well either.
Yeah, he just likes families.
He just wanted to connect with his younger players.
Yeah,
See what they were doing.
Isn't that what the young kids do? They just look at each other's phones.
That's all they do.
Yeah.
They FaceTime with the phone facing up. They don't even.
Really?
It's the weirdest thing ever.
So, Kyrou, after being booed lustily by Blues fans after he had said, he ain't my pa. He said he's not my coach about Craig Berube. So he was booed on Thursday night, but then on Saturday night, gets 3 points, scores a goal, and all of a sudden the fans are cheering for him again.
And you hear the cheers here tonight. You love these fans, don't you?
It's awesome. I love playing here. I love this rink. It was a great win by us tonight.
There you go. I don't know why we had to X that out, why we had to censor that.
It's the mic was cutting out. That's all.
Okay, got
They
it.
don't want those words on the airwaves.
Okay. And
No.
one thing that when you're a scorer that makes you believe that the guy is giving effort is shot attempts, like 9 shot attempts for Jordan Kyrou.
Yeah, I think I was just trying to find, more of the open F3. I think these guys, they were letting a lot of, our pre-scout for the game, showed a lot of F3 shots, and, also credit to my line mates, they're finding me a lot tonight.
Now you got to do it on a regular basis. I'm not saying you have to do it 82 times a year, but you have to show Blues fans who are smart that you're trying hard.
And they notice that, right? That's a big part of it. It's hard for me to really believe that Craig Berube wasn't trying to get the most out of Jordan Kyrou. I think 100% that he was pushing Jordan Kyrou. We know as much because Berube would say as much in his post-game comments leading up to all of this. We even talked about it last year with Jordan Kyrou. I 100% believe Berube was trying to get the most. I just don't think that it was a message that Jordan Kyrou was buying into.
I think Jordan Kyrou is immature, and I think that's why he thought that Berube was berating him rather than trying to get the best out of him. I don't think he had any clue that he was being coached.
Well, sometimes as a coach, when you're a good coach, you know that each player needs something different. And so how I talk to one player is probably not how I can talk to another player. Finding that balance. But at the end of the day, the message needs to be clear and concise. This is the job that needs to be done. And that message can go from, nice and coddling to now, I've said this 4 times, man, Let's go. What are you doing? So if we are trying to have conversations and trying to work through things, but you're unwilling or unable to get the message clearly, then I may have to speak it in different terms. And I think Craig Berube did a great job with this team and did a great job with these players, but for whatever reason, they just, not all of them, but some of them just were unable to finish and do the thing that he needed them to do in the way he needed it done.
Yeah, that's 100% what happened, and that's basically what Armstrong said, right? In his comments, is that he would talk to Berube before the games to say, what is the message? And then he would watch the game, and he didn't feel like that message was being executed.
Blues at Tampa tomorrow. College basketball over the weekend. St. Louis U rallies for a 75-74 win over Louisiana Tech. Illinois over Colgate, 74-57. The Illini will take on Crest later this week, and then Arm and Hammer right after that.
Yep, we're working our way up,
Every time that I hear Colgate, I'm like, what? What is toothpaste doing in this conversation?
And then Seton Hall beat Mizzou 93-87. And next weekend, you've got Illinois and Mizzou for the McBride and Son Holmes bragging rights.
Let's go, ILL.
We need to get a bet going for this.
We're getting it done.
And then Mizzou plays December 29th, Mizzou football in the Cotton Bowl down in Dallas against The Ohio State University from the Big Ten.
That'll be exciting.
That'd be fun, yeah.
It's going to be exciting. I mean, I'm intrigued to see what this Ohio State team looks like with most of their players, a lot of their guys that are opting out due to transferring or maybe going to the draft. It's going to be Mizzou should take care of their business because they got all of their guys playing. So it should be a good game.
You know what, though? Ohio State will still have like 4 times more 4- and 5-star players than Mizzou.
That's the thing. Like, they got a lot of guys that are in waiting for an opportunity that have, that guys that are going to be superstars in the future NFL players that just haven't had the opportunity to play as much because of the people in front of them. So we'll see them on the 29th.
So we're off and running here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, what we loved about the weekend here on the opening drive.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
St. Louis, thank you for choosing Under Law as STL Today's 2023 best law firm. Although our work has always been about you, we are proud yet humbled to be acknowledged by the community we serve and love. At Under Law, we will continue our mission to make a difference, one case at a time.
When you're injured, you need the best. Call Under Law at 314 or 618-9000000.
Still don't have the perfect holiday gift? That's Shane Company.
All right, time for 4 downs from Week 15 in the National Football League.
First down.
All right, kids, I've often said on this very program, I've echoed the words of the great Mike Martz that Christian McCaffrey of the San Francisco 49ers is the closest thing the NFL has had to Marshall Faulk since Marshall Faulk. Well, the NFL apparently is starting to recognize that. Yesterday, this NFL missive. Christian McCaffrey has 1,292 rushing yards and 509 receiving yards this season and is the 4th player in NFL history to record at least 1,000 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards in 4 or more career seasons, joining Pro Football Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk. McCaffrey has totaled 6,018 rushing yards and 4,265 receiving yards since entering the NFL in 2017 and is the 3rd player with at least 6,000 rushing yards and 4,000 receiving yards in his first 7 seasons, joining Pro Football Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk. McCaffrey is the 2nd player in NFL history with 30 games with at least 50 rushing yards and 50 receiving yards, joining Pro Football Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk. And like Marshall, with the greatest show on turf, McCaffrey is playing on what is clearly the best team in the National Football League. And as Brock Purdy said yesterday, his quarterback, he is the MVP. Christian McCaffrey, for all of the great talent on San Francisco, is the straw that stirs the drink. He's amazing.
He is outstanding. They do a great job of finding ways to get the football to him and creating mismatches. It's exciting to watch because as a defensive coordinator, I know you have to have some sleepless nights before you play the San Francisco 49ers. It is hard to play man-to-man because they're going to be lined up in different places. You're going to have Deebo Samuel in the backfield. You can't bring a corner into the box because he will run the football. And so you're putting yourself in a disadvantage when you're playing against them. You're limiting what you can do defensively, and a big part of that is what Christian McCaffrey can do both in the pass game and in the run game.
That's still one of the best decisions that the 49ers made, bringing Christian McCaffrey over. It made a huge difference.
So, Randy, in the words of our great friend Lee Corso, you said...
Hold on, we got second down. Right?
Oh, you got to get the...
Second down.
In the words of our great friend Lee Corso, you said the 49ers are the best team in the NFL. Not so fast, my friend, because the Baltimore Ravens are also in the NFL, and they sit atop of the AFC with an 11-3 record. They had a big win last night. At Jacksonville, Lamar Jackson has been doing outstanding things. Now, Keaton Mitchell, the running back, may be out for the year with a knee injury. He did go down late in that game, but the way that Lamar Jackson is able to become more of a passing threat in the pocket, he did some things last night inside the pocket, escaping sacks and tackles and defenders, which it's just lights out football. And when I was listening to Chris Collinsworth describe him, he said it's like Fran Tarkenton or Michael Vick. These are the quarterbacks of my era and your era that you got to watch that are, escape artists and find ways to make big plays downfield through a great pass to Isaiah Likely, who went up and grabbed one. The Baltimore Ravens, when they are healthy, are one of the best teams, and they are the best team in the NFL right now. And those two teams, the 49ers and the Ravens, are my 2 picks to make it to the Super Bowl. I'm still feeling really good about that. I need Ronnie Stanley to get healthy. He's still banged up, but Marlon Humphrey played extremely well last night after not having what I thought was a great game last week. So they're coming around defensively, they're coming around offensively, and they are playing really good football, complimentary football, and playing really well.
Do you guys ever do anything on Christmas night? 1 week from tonight, you've got Ravens and Niners.
Let's get it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That one's
gonna
really
be fun.
good.
That's going to be great.
And you know that the Ravens have to be good for CD to be saying the praises.
Honestly, I really like Lamar Jackson. I am a Lamar Jackson fan. I know he plays for this other team in purple and black and whatever, but he is a special football player that I would watch any day of the week.
And guys, he's doing it without Mark Andrews. I kind of thought Mark Andrews was his blankie, right? But he's not. He just turns Isaiah Likely, like you say, into a premier, not just a really good tight end, a premier tight end, and he's utilizing all the weapons. They finally get him weapons, and he's utilizing them. And he has become, and he always wanted to be this quarterback, but he's become a quarterback that throws the ball first and runs the ball second.
Third down.
Well, I have to talk about one about my favorite soap operas in the NFL this season. And guys, it's going to be the Jets. The Jets are a mess right now. Just as Aaron Rodgers is starting to emerge back from his darkness retreat, it feels like the Jets wound up in another dark place. After getting shut out by the Dolphins 30-0. Yes, that is a real final score. And guess what? The Dolphins didn't even have Tyreek Hill there. So imagine if Hill was actually playing in the entire game.
Nobody
what that
could
would
ever
even look
score
like.
70, could they?
Wait, I think maybe. But the Jets are in a very dark place right now. They are 5-9 after Sunday's loss, and also eliminated them from playoff contention for the 13th year in a row. So it felt like last week Saleh maybe had his job secured for a little bit. But guys, now after this type of loss, is Saleh on the hot seat?
I think he has to be considered on the hot seat, even though the quarterback got hurt.
It's unfortunate because the quarterback is obviously the most critical part of your team. Your star quarterback that you went out and traded for comes in, only plays 4 snaps, is out for the year, and you got a group of guys that are unable to lead that franchise in a direction and lead them to wins. And so it's tough that you're put in that position. I personally wouldn't want to see Saleh fired because I think having a quarterback, he needs to have that guy at least 1 year. Give him one of the guys that he can hang his hat on and say, at least that part of the team is okay.
Yeah.
But he hasn't had that in his tenure there, and that's a tough way to go about winning and being a head coach in the NFL.
And also, we can just go ahead and say there's no way that Aaron Rodgers is going to play the rest of this year.
He
He's
better not.
supposed to be cleared this week.
Yeah, and
so
he said
there's
he
no point.
wouldn't play if they were not going to make the playoffs, if they didn't have a playoff chance. And so now that they've been eliminated, he won't play.
So this is probably best case scenario for Aaron Rodgers, because we were talking about that, wondering who's going to tell Aaron Rodgers no, you can't play. Now you don't have to worry about that anymore. And maybe if you do give Saleh a chance with the quarterback that he was originally supposed to have, things could be different here. But that's such a bad loss that it's just not a good look for the organization.
No.
It's time.
4th down.
And guys, I always love the late window games because they're so highly competitive. It's the game of the week every week, and that was the case yesterday.
How about them Cowboys?
Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe
Did they not make it to Buffalo? Did they not?
They were 21-3. I think maybe their lines may have decided to stay in Dallas.
Okay.
The Buffalo Bills only dropped back to pass. The Buffalo Bills dropped back to pass 15 times and handed the ball off 49. The Buffalo Bills handed the ball off 49 times for 266 yards. The Buffalo Bills offensive line hammered the Cowboys defensive line, and the Buffalo Bills defensive line hammered the Cowboys offensive line. You know what? To play in the playoffs, we talked earlier about the Niners and the Ravens. What do they have in common? They're physical, and they will beat you up. They'll bully you. The Cowboys got bullied by the Buffalo Bills.
And this makes it, that's the second time we can say that they got bullied, because they got bullied against the 49ers as well. And so when you're looking at a team and trying to figure out how to envision them in the playoffs, this is what playoff football is. And I think the Buffalo Bills have figured something out. I said this all year long. I've really said this for the last couple of years. If you can limit Josh Allen's mistakes, decide to hand the ball off to the running backs in the backfield. They had Devin Singletary the last few years, and now they got James Cook. If you hand the ball off to these guys and allow them to be your lead runners instead of Josh Allen, you might be working with something. And they figured that out yesterday, and they did. They took it to the Dallas Cowboys and said, we're better than you are. Stop it if you can. And they could not.
First of all, Cowboys are now 3-4 on the road, 5-0 at home. I don't see the Cowboys going on the road and winning playoff games.
No. How can you?
Yeah,
especially if it's going to be this type of playoff game. Again, football weather, I told you, when the weather starts to get cold, it was cool this morning, it was cold this morning. When the weather changes and it starts to get cold and the temperature is dropping and snow is falling, hand the ball off to the running back, let those big boys up front, go forward, and if you can't stop it, you're going to have a long off season.
And oh, by the way, this is part of the dumbing down of the football fan of America. It's not the football fan's fault. It's ESPN's fault, because I guarantee you today, if you watch the shows on ESPN National, they're going to blame Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott had nothing to do with that loss. That was all about the offensive line and the defensive line not being able to do what they needed to do. Prescott sacked 3 times, pressured relentlessly throughout the day, and the big thing was they just couldn't hang on to the football. 266 yards rushing for Buffalo. So good for the Bills. I'm glad to see it. I was a big Bills fan yesterday.
Oh, yeah. We know. You love the Cowboys falling apart like that because of who's in charge, and that is Jerry Jones. The Bills, though, talking about them being in playoff contention. So they're currently slotted 9th in the AFC, just right outside of playoff contention. They feel like a real threat, though.
They could win that division. Because if Miami loses a game and Buffalo, let me get you Buffalo's last 3. Buffalo could easily win out. Okay, so they've got at the Chargers, home against the Patriots, at the Dolphins. If the Dolphins lose one of their next 2 games, and they are against, get the Dolphins schedule here, if they lose one of the next 2 against the Cowboys or the Ravens, if Miami loses one of those and Buffalo wins out, Buffalo wins the division.
Well, I think that Miami's going to win that AFC East. I think they're going to continue. They played really well without their best player, MVP candidate yesterday, and he's going to be better for it next week. He could have gone if it was a playoff game. Tyreek Hill would have played.
But they have to play at Baltimore.
I think Baltimore is the best team in the league, so I think that won't be an issue for Baltimore, but it will be an issue for Miami. So I see what you're saying. I just think that they're going to end up winning that division. I think they're the better team, and they have been throughout the year. I want to get to one quick point. James Cook had more yards total offense than the Dallas Cowboys did as a team.
Oh, my God.
So you're going to probably lose that game.
Yeah.
If one player has more offensive yards than your entire team.
Yep. All right. That is 4 downs from the NFL. Coming up, what we loved from the weekend. We promise. Next on 101 ESPN. Hey, here we are at the end of December, and I want you to start thinking about home improvement for 2024, and that includes flooring with Ambassador Midwest Floor. They have beautiful facilities in Chesterfield Valley and in Glendale, and for whatever kind of flooring you're looking for. If you're looking for hardwood, if you're looking for luxury vinyl, if you're looking for tile or carpet, they're going to have it for you, and they have an amazing selection. So stop by and floor your family in 2024 with new flooring from Ambassador Floor. And they've got quite a deal for you right now. They've got a gift card that you can buy, $500 or more, and when you do, you'll get an extra 10% bonus when you get your flooring done by Ambassador Midwest Floor. And they have all the famous brands, Mannington and Bruce and Cardine. They really do have all of the flooring that's available to you and the best flooring that you'll ever get. And you can also get a great digital photo frame that'll show your family what your floors will look like. And then when you have your flooring done, you can just replace those pictures with pictures of your family. Learn more at ambassadorfloor.com and get new flooring for 2024 at Ambassador Midwest Floor in Chesterfield and Glendale.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues continue their winning ways under Drew Bannister with a 4-3 win over the Dallas Stars in overtime on Saturday. They will take a Florida swing on the road this week. They will be at the Lightning on Tuesday evening and at the Panthers on Thursday evening. Over the weekend, college basketball, St. Louis with a comeback 75-74 victory over Louisiana Tech. Illinois beats up on Colgate 74-57, and Seton Hall with a big offensive night, 93-87 over the Missouri Tigers. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
What we loved about the weekend on 101 ESPN. Brooke Grimsley, Kerry Davis, Randy Carricker. Brooke, what do you got?
Number 2.
My number 2 thing is going to be Jordan Kyrou getting cheers from the fans. And there you go. Yes, he got some cheers from fans, and rightfully so, because the fans here in St. Louis, as we know, are very appreciative, and they pay attention to things. So when he got the boos, I believe it was even bigger than the whole Craig Berube message. I think that it's also seeing the effort that was put in going up to that firing, right? So the fans will always love you here, always cheer you on, as long as you're putting out 100% effort every single night and showing that passion out there on the ice. I think that this was a great turnaround, hopefully a huge learning lesson for Jordan Kyrou, that he understands that fans do appreciate him as long as he's doing that.
I think it was a learning lesson, right? You went through that. You said something that may have been taken out of context. Maybe that's not how you meant it, but you can see how it was perceived, and you realized, oh crap, I made the wrong statements. I need to correct that. Came back later that night and said it in a much better, more professional way, and then responded in a professional way with your game. And at the end of the day, you can say a lot of things, but your game is always going to speak volumes. And when you're giving great effort, when you're scoring goals and having assists, then fans will be more likely to cheer for you than boo you. And so he figured it out quickly. And can't say anything else about him. You can say he figures things out pretty quickly and understood how that message was portrayed and got it corrected.
And now those two have a loving, nurturing relationship, I'm sure.
It's beautiful.
My number 2, this NFC South is it's a beast. It's hard to win, and then not really. Those teams stink. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield, my good friend Anthony Stalter likes to call him Shaky Bakey. Mm-hmm. I think Shaky Bakey is a tough nickname to have. But Baker Mayfield threw for 381 yards and 4 touchdowns in Lambeau Field versus the Green Bay Packers. Again, not a great team, but a storied franchise. This team in Baker Mayfield and what he has done, and kind of resurrecting his career from what he was in Cleveland, taking the Browns to a playoff game, and then being shuffled around from L.A. to Carolina to now finding a home in Tampa. I get excited when I see guys that have become journeymen and get an opportunity to have success. He's doing a great job in Tampa, and they are winning games, and probably they should win that division because, again, it's a terrible division.
And apparently his teammates really like him.
Yeah.
And he's got physical skills. He just has not been in the right place at the right time.
Yes. It's tough. That's the one thing about professional sports, is finding a place where your talents align with all of the things that are going on in that organization. And sometimes you can be extremely talented and be in a terrible situation, and there's no way for you to succeed. I think Justin Fields would attest to that. And then sometimes you're in a great situation and you become the superstar that you're supposed to be. I don't know that Baker will become a superstar, but I think he can be, a really good quarterback for some years.
Kerry, were you, this is my number 2, were you watching TV late on Saturday afternoon with your Pittsburgh Steelers?
No.
Okay, because I thought if you were watching, it must have been the total essence of mixed emotions, because Kerry's Pittsburgh Steelers are playing, and the Indianapolis Colts take over with 3:14 left in the third quarter. Trey Sermon, left guard for 4. This is their play-by-play. Trey Sermon, left guard for 4. Trey Sermon, left end for 5. Trey Sermon, right tackle for 9. Trey Sermon, right guard for 7. Trey Sermon, left end for 1. Trey Sermon, up the middle for 19. Goodson, up the middle for 1. Goodson, right tackle for 10. Sermon up the middle for -1. Sermon right guard for 6. Sermon up the middle for 5. Sermon left guard for 2. Goodson left tackle for 2. 13 consecutive running plays by the Indianapolis Colts against the Steelers. As much as you hate it happening to Pittsburgh, that's Kerry Davis football right there.
That is when you break a team's will and spirit. If I can run the ball, if I can tell you I'm going to run this ball this way, that way, and you're not going to stop it, you got no chance, man. And Pittsburgh has been hanging. That defense has been keeping them in games, has been winning them games this season. But there's only so much you can do when you're on the field that much, when your offense is unable to put points on the board or sustain drives. You're going to have a long game. And that drive right there is definitely a snapshot of what the season has been like when your offense is unable to score.
15 plays, 76 yards, 8:57 off the clock in the third quarter into the fourth. I was listening to the Colts broadcast, and Coach Venturi was giddy. He was saying, "This is like when I played in the 70s." It was unbelievable.
Number 1.
My number 1 is that I finally played pickleball this weekend for the first time. Yeah.
Oh, you made this challenge without ever having played. You said, okay, the opening drive is going to beat everybody else.
Yeah, maybe a little cocky of me. Considering I played tennis my whole life, I kind of thought I should be decent at this with the hand-eye coordination. And so a couple of girlfriends of mine and I went out to Chicken and Pickle out in St. Charles this past weekend. If you guys haven't been out there, it's a lot of fun. And I went in just with no expectations because I'm like, okay, I can't be too cocky getting into this. Yes, I played tennis my whole life, but who knows? This is a paddle, not a racket. I did experience phantom racket a couple of times, which was a very humbling experience.
What is that? Well, it feels like it's more?
I'm used to the racket being longer, and then obviously it's a paddle. So, but then once I got the hang of it, then it was just 2-on-1. So it was me versus the other two girls, and then we brought another guy in who was playing on the court next to us for a little bit. And at first I was like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this now. And we were doing a little bit back and forth because that's what you want to do, right? You want to have a nice back and forth. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna win, because at the end of the day, it's about winning. And you know, of course, you want to have a nice little volley back and forth. No, I want to just smack it really hard and win the point. And
that's
so
what you should do.
I enjoyed it so much. I didn't know how I'd feel about pickleball at first, but I'm in love with it. And you guys might see me out there just about every single weekend now. I was like telling my friends after, I was like, so we want to do this next weekend? What about the next weekend?
I want to try it out. I want to see what it. Well, is there any? Is it a lot of running movement or not really that much?
It's not as bad as tennis because obviously the tennis court's a lot bigger, so it's like a condensed version of a tennis court. There was some time, CD, you know my ankles pop all the time. There was some times where I was running around and I was like, oh, my ankles cannot handle this as much anymore.
So Brooke is just getting warmed up, and then all of a sudden.
I'm very competitive, guys.
Very competitive.
I'm very competitive. So then what?
Brooke is not there for the fun. Trust me.
No.
Brooke is there to win.
The fun
You're going to have
winning.
fun. Right.
The fun of winning.
Yeah, it's not fun if you're losing.
All right.
My number 2, I went to the Deluxe Power 100 Gala this weekend. Our friend Michael Claiborne was awarded the Distinguished Honoree for his career in sports and sport broadcasting. And it was just a great event. Had a great time. Saw a lot of friends and people that I hadn't seen in some years. So it was fun. I had a great time and got to wear a tuxedo and got outside.
Nice.
Good for Claibs, too.
Yes.
Good. Guys, my number 1, I am a Billiken season ticket holder, and I love the joy with which Terrence Hargrove plays basketball. He just, whether he's on the bench or in the game, he plays with extraordinary joy. And Billikens were down 3 with 7 seconds left. Hargrove comes down the court, boom, hits a three-pointer, ties the game. Right after that three-pointer, Gibson Jimmerman, big game Gibby Jim, Gibson Jimmerman took a foul. And so the opponent, Louisiana Tech, hits both free throws. They're up 74-72. Who gets the ball and rushes down the court with 5 seconds left on the clock? It's Terrence Hargrove Jr. At the buzzer, boom, three-pointer to win the game. He scored 11 points in the last 28 seconds, including 6 points in the last 7 seconds to give the Billikens the win. And you could not have had a better scene than all the Billikens running on the court to mob Terrence Hargrove Jr. It was awesome, and it was really cool to see that this guy, of all guys, East St. Louis, and stayed at SLU and loyal to the program, gave gave them that victory over La Tech. It was very cool.
You won't see somebody score 11 points in the final 28 seconds of a game to win it ever, probably again. Like, that just doesn't happen very often.
Didn't
in
Reggie
basketball.
Miller do that?
Reggie Miller did that. Tracy
like
McGrady. I'm
9
saying, Reggie Miller did that late 90s. Tracy McGrady did that middle 2000s. Terrence Hargrove did that 2023. I'm saying it doesn't happen very often. I wasn't able to watch the other two live. I was watching that one live. That was pretty special, watching what he was able to do.
Yeah.
He came into the 30-second mark with 2 points.
Yep.
Finished the game with 13.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Fantastic. It was so much fun. And he's a really good kid. And so congratulations to TJ Hargrove and the Billikens, who improved to 7-5 on the season with their 75-74 win over La Tech. That's what we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Take it or leave it, coming your way on 101 ESPN. You know, one thing we don't think about a lot is our gutters. When you drive home today and you look at your house, look at your gutters, and they might be all dented up and scarred from all the weather over the years. It might be time for new gutters, and it might be time for you to get in touch with my friends at Gutter Pros at gutterpros.com. They do a fantastic job on residential gutters, and many times when you have gutters on your home, they're too small, and you need bigger ones, and Gutter Pros will provide you great advice on putting new gutters in your home. And then when they do, they have a fantastic staff. They're experienced, they have great support, and they're going to do wonderful work for you. Whether you are a residential or a commercial customer, Gutter Pros does fantastic work. They're downtown, and they'll come out and provide you a free estimate anywhere within a 50-mile radius of their building, and they're all about St. Louis. They care about you. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. They have 4.9 out of 5 stars on their reviews. It really is a wonderful company with great people. It's gutterpros.com. You might not realize it, but you might need new gutters plus soffit fascia and protection as well from leaves at gutterpros.com.
say something. I'm going to put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
With Brooke Grimsley and Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis, I'm Randy Carricker. Matthew Rocchio is here, and it's time for Take It or Leave It. Get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And oh, by the way, if you aren't watching us on YouTube, you should be on our Air Alliance team studio cam. Just go to YouTube and type in 101 ESPN STL, and you can watch us as we bring you the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Kids, by the end of this calendar year, the Blues are going to play Tampa Bay tomorrow, and then on Thursday they're at Florida, Stanley Cup finalists from last year. Then they have the Blackhawks. They've got Dallas here again, Colorado here, and then they go to Pittsburgh. Those 6 games: Tampa, Florida, Chicago, Dallas, Colorado, Pittsburgh. Take it or leave it, the Blues get 50% of the available points.
Ooh. 50%?
Yep, and the only easy mark really is Chicago. And that's not an easy mark for the Blues. At least it wasn't under Craig Berube.
I'm going to take it. Hopefully they can. Berube. I'm going to take it and hope that they can continue to ride this high of a new coach and understanding the fires being lit up under him. Let's see if that works for him.
I'm going to take it, too, just because this is the Jordan Kyrou redemption tour. So if he continues to stay on a mission and try to prove people, then that should be beneficial for the Blues.
Hashtag LGB?
Yeah.
Go Stanley Tucci.
So we see every week, we see every year new rules are implemented and some rules are discussed in the offseason. Take it or leave it. They should discuss giving a sack. A sack should be awarded to a player when intentional grounding is called.
Oh, yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, take it.
Yeah,
I hate that they just, the quarterback can get rid of the ball. He's going to get sacked. It's intentional grounding. You should be awarded a sack for that.
Right, because you lose the yardage in the down anyway.
And you lose money by not having enough sacks on your stats.
That's true.
There you go.
I like that one a lot, actually. So this weekend, if you guys saw, Patrick Mahomes is still pretty upset at his receiver, Kadarius Toney. Take it or leave it. Tony's going to be gone by the end of the season.
I'm going to leave that. He won't be gone by the end of the season, but he won't be back.
When the season ends, then it's going to happen pretty quickly afterwards.
What day is the NFL? What day is the Super Bowl?
Yeah, February 5th.
Whenever the new year starts, he won't be on the roster with them.
What if he does what he did in last year's Super Bowl?
I don't think it matters.
65-yard punt return and the game-winning touchdown?
Every time you turn on the TV, he's dropping a pass.
I know.
Randy.
I know. Well, and especially, did you see Patrick Mahomes this weekend?
In the playoffs, then. That's the case.
Yeah.
And with Patrick Mahomes, I mean, it feels like he's tried to give him as many opportunities as possible. That trust is broken at this point, right?
Yeah, at this point. But all it takes is one
who
play.
Is he going to throw? I mean, he can throw it to Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce because MBS is going to drop passes.
Yep.
Kadarius is going to drop passes.
Sky
Moore. Yeah.
Going to drop passes. They are.
Justin Watson doesn't drop passes.
Yeah, you got to throw it to him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew, what do you got on the old text line?
Take it or leave it. It's time for the Steelers to move on from Tomlin.
Leave it.
And then for him to take the Patriots job.
Leave that.
Oh.
Leave it.
I kind of like that.
Time out.
I kind of like that.
No.
I kind of like that.
No, thank you.
No. He needs to overhaul his offensive staff and probably get himself a quarterback. But no, there's been too much winning. He's never had a losing season. Yeah. So you don't move on from a football coach who's never had a losing season.
Yeah,
until he has multiple losing seasons, and he's bad.
Because there are a lot of coaches, a lot of programs in the NFL that would love to have Mike Tomlin as their head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Carrie, since we're changing stats, take it or leave it. A ball off a receiver's hands that's clearly the receiver's fault should be an interception on the receiver, not the quarterback.
That's too much. I'm going to leave that. It's a team game.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to trust your guys to catch the ball. Kadarius Toney, I told you my story. Kirk Kidner had not thrown an interception in I don't know how many passes, and I was running a route, Texas route, go out, come back in, and threw it to me. popped off my hands, interception. And Coach Turner said, if we ever call that play in the game and carries in, call the timeout. Don't run it. Don't ever run it again with him in the game. All right, man, I get it. It was a mistake. I won't let it happen again. Sorry.
It's amazing.
My bad. Sorry, Kurt. Ruined your streak.
It was going to end anyway.
At some point.
Take it or leave it. If MVP really means most valuable player, then Lamar Jackson should win it every year, especially this year.
He should definitely be talked about because of their team being, in my opinion, the best team in the NFL. All that he does for that team, he's got 3,000 yards passing, 700 yards rushing, and just he does a fantastic job. And doesn't have his number one receiver, Mark Andrews, has been out for, I want to say, 7 or 8 weeks now because of an injury. So, yeah, you definitely need to look at Lamar and put him in that conversation. And the fact that he's not is mind-boggling.
But it is ridiculous. And he should, by the way, be in that conversation today. Dak Prescott should probably take a hit. But if we're going to just use the term valuable to your team, the Niners are 11-0 with Deebo Samuel playing and 0-3 without him.
Yeah, but you could say the same. Trent Williams was also huge.
Williams played 97% of the snaps in the game that he got hurt in.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
he got hurt at the end.
I still think that I can't give it to Deebo. I think he's done a great job. I think he's great.
But you can't give it to Tyreek Hill?
I can. It looks different. It looks different. Like when I watch
I'm looking at the W's and the L's.
Yeah, well, Miami got a lot of W's too.
30-0 yesterday without Tyreek.
They still have a lot of W's.
They do.
So
I'm just looking at value.
And it was also the Jets.
I'm just using the term valuable.
It's not like the Jets.
How could you be more valuable than undefeated with, winless without?
Yeah, I agree.
But what about Christian McCaffrey in that conversation? So right now, with the NFL MVP odds, Brock Purdy is leading the way, and so is Christian McCaffrey.
I would vote for McCaffrey to be the MVP of the league.
I don't know. In my opinion, it shouldn't be a quarterback this year. There has not been a quarterback that has stood out to the level of MVP this season. I think you have some position players, like you said, Deebo, Tyreek, Christian McCaffrey, who have done outstanding jobs this season, and it does not have to necessarily go to a quarterback because a quarterback, in my opinion, has not been stellar enough to receive it this year.
So right now, the odds, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. This is from last week. This is what it looks like. Hasn't been updated fully yet. Then Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, and the odds can change a lot. I'm sure
they've been changing all season,
day to day, right? Yeah.
I mean, what if Hurts is it doesn't play on tonight, and then the Eagles still get a win? Like, what would that do to the odds?
Yeah. Marcus Mariota.
Man,
your guy might play tonight, bro.
Carrie, they're moving your boy around. Take it or leave it. Mike Tomlin would look really good in San Diego with Justin Herbert.
Oh man.
Yeah, I couldn't
a real
see
defensive
Mike
coach
T in anywhere but Pittsburgh. I mean,
that's a person.
Gold-colored glasses. Yeah, it might be. I would have to find a franchise. And the Los Angeles Chargers are not the franchise for him to go to.
No.
Nor is New England. I don't know where Mike T would fit.
He belongs in Pittsburgh.
He belongs in Pittsburgh.
If he's not in Pittsburgh, he's from Hampton, Virginia. Maybe Washington with the new ownership there. But no, he should be in Pittsburgh. That's the only place he should be.
Yeah, I really couldn't see him. I mean, he coached in Tampa, so there's some connection there. It's Pittsburgh. Leave him alone. He's doing well. What are we talking about?
I am intrigued to wonder though what they'll do offensively, because I think they need a makeover offensively.
It's offensively. It is about the accountability. It's guys making a decision every single day to buy in. They got to fix the offensive line. I think they still need some more help there. I'm still not ready to give up on Kenny Pickett just yet. I still want to see more because he does have some guys around him, and I want to see him in a full year with an offensive coordinator that puts him in good situations, an offensive line that puts their hand in the dirt and goes forward like what the Colts did to them on Saturday, and be able to have success that way.
Here, this is coming from a texter. This is not coming from me.
Oh, here we go.
Take it or leave it. Mike Tomlin has been a coach for 17 years and only has 4 seasons with playoff wins. Take it or leave it. Any other coach would have been fired by now.
Well, he's not any other coach, so leave it. What are we talking about? Don't get mad at us because your franchise doesn't have 6 Super Bowls. What do we do? We don't fire coaches in Pittsburgh. Your friend, I don't know who you root for, but I'm sure in the 30 years that Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin have been head coaches, your team probably has had at least 8 coaches. I don't know who that team is, but I'm sure that's the number. Don't get mad at Pittsburgh because we provide stability for our head coaches, which also leads to success. I'm sorry that you are in shambles with your team. But here in Pittsburgh, we understand family. And I'm sure, when did Chuck Noll get hired? What year was that?
1970.
1970. So how many years is that? 53 years? 53 years.
54 seasons.
And your franchise probably has had 25 coaches in 53 years. So, 20 at least. If you're the Browns, you probably had 40. I don't know. What are you doing?
I don't know why this entire time I was just picturing the opening scene of Friday Night Lights where the guy's in the truck and he just holds out his ring and just goes, "Go get you one of these.
Go get you one." We got 6 of them.
That's so good. Yeah.
Go get you one of these, boys.
It is hard to win playoff games if you aren't in the playoffs.
I mean, it is. We know that here in St. Louis, don't we?
Yeah.
Kind of the criteria to win a championship, you got to make it to the tournament.
Can't leap ahead.
Nah,
No.
you can't do like what they do in soccer and give you the cup for being the season's winner.
Yeah.
It's not great. In the season here, we won all the games. No. You got to play tournament.
Yep.
Playoffs matter.
Nope, just be good for the entire season.
Yep.
And sometimes you can even just, lose to all the good teams and just somehow just beat all the bad teams and snake by.
Is that it? That's it. Okay, coming up next year on 101 ESPN on our Fresh Take, are the Cardinals done with pitching transactions for this offseason? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN.
Swiss Air Heating and Cooling, your wizards of comfort. Right now is the best time to replace your old inefficient heating and cooling system because there are over $5,000 in rebates and tax credits, 60 months 0% interest financing, and 12 years parts and labor. Yep, you've got to call Swiss Air today at 636-500-2665. That's 636-500-COOL or visit SwissAirSTL.com.
Fellas, it's the holiday season, and you may be dreading those long car rides or those trips across country for fear that you're going to have to go use the restroom often, and maybe you get to the restroom and you just can't go. The Midwest Institute for Non-Surgical Therapy can help you. You may be suffering from benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, also known as an enlarged prostate. Getting up and not being able to go can be frustrating, but my friend Dr. Akinwande at Mint STL has the solution, and that solution is called prostate artery embolization, or PAE. It's a groundbreaking, minimally invasive procedure that treats BPH. This procedure will literally help you get going again. After PAE, the prostate begins to shrink within 24 to 48 hours, and over a 6-month period, the prostate may be reduced by around 40%. The best part about it is it's covered by most insurances, so reach out to Mint STL today to schedule your appointment. That's MINTSTL.com, MINTSTL.com, and tell them Kerry sent you.
A fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
All right, interesting viewpoints of what the Cardinals are going to do with their pitching staff. And there are those out there that believe that the Cardinals would still be willing to make a trade. Even John Mozeliak said yesterday on KMOX that the Cardinals would not be averse to making a trade if one stepped up for them. But Katie Wu in The Athletic writes, the payment, and this is in regards to Sonny Gray's contract, negotiated by Mozeliak, allows for more financial flexibility this winter, something deemed crucial as the Cardinals continue to revamp their pitching staff. And that money, with the Tyler O'Neill $6 million coming off the book, would seem to be available for a bullpen arm. However, Mo said yesterday on Sports on a Sunday Morning on KMOX with Tom Ackerman, he said, quote, "We actually like our bullpen. I think that Helsley, Gallegos, and Romero are a pretty good way to finish a game, and they give you some flexibility. I do feel like Gallegos did not have the year he hoped last year, but I think ending the season on the IL gave him additional time to rest." So what do you take out of that? The Cardinals have extra money to spend, but he also says, we actually like our bullpen. Are they saving dry powder for the trade deadline so that if they need an arm, they can go get it? Or would you expect that he's just kind of playing possum and talking to agents as much as anybody else when he says we like our bullpen?
It's hard to understand or even figure out, right? Because we like to play our favorite game of trying to figure out what Mozeliak said versus what he really meant. And so it's hard to read what exactly is going on. I do believe him in some aspects of, I think that this is it. We've talked about this, right? Where this is pretty much going to be the moves for the Cardinals this offseason, unless an opportunity arises that it would be too hard to pass up. And there are still guys available, but it's interesting to me that he didn't exactly close the door on adding another starting pitcher. So it sounds like they could be open to adding that, but they're not exactly looking to do that right now, unless that perfect opportunity comes up for them to be able to acquire another starting pitcher. I am surprised that there wouldn't be any more relievers added, because I feel like, okay, if you're not going to add a starting pitcher, then you should probably just have another insurance arm in your pen, because why not?
And it seems like there's a million bullpen arms out there.
Yes, there is.
A veteran bullpen arm is always a valuable commodity, I think.
Who, and when we're talking about, you talk about JoJo, you talked about Gallegos and Helsley. Is there anybody? John King, I think we said, is probably in that. John King is probably in that bullpen. And then maybe one of these potential starters, whether it be Steven Matz or one of these guys that are not the fifth starter, you slide them into the bullpen. Other than that, maybe they're comfortable because they think that a Tink Hintz or Graceffo or McGreevy are going to be able to come up and help out in some way in the bullpen, which, again, I think would be a great idea. I don't know that. I mean, the Cardinals did more than most teams this offseason, right? This free agency period. But I think the question that still lingers on a lot of Cardinal fans' mind is, did they do enough? I think they did more than pretty much, well, the Dodgers are doing a lot now, but they did more than a lot of teams. Have they done enough to be a better team for 2024? Because last year, 91 losses is not going to cut it.
No, and I think they need a legitimate number one starter. That's I'm very happy, especially because they pursued innings. If they're willing to allow those pitchers to give them innings, then those are all good signings. Gray, Lynn, Kyle Gibson. You have Matz, you have Michaelis. So you've got a group of guys that can give you innings, but you don't have a guy that provides you win day. Every time that he takes them out, you've got a 3-game losing streak, and you say, okay, this guy is going to stop a losing streak. They don't have that guy, and they really don't have an experienced closer. But the Cardinals, one of the things that we need to recognize about the Cardinals when they've been in World Series and won championships, 2006, it was Adam Wainwright, a rookie, right? In 2013, it was Edward Mujica getting replaced by Rosenthal. In 2011, it was Jason Mott at the end of the year. Very rarely have the Cardinals, when they've been to the World Series, had the same closer at the beginning of the year that they've had at the end of the year. And more times than not, it's a young guy that is pitching out of the bullpen in the ninth inning for them in the playoffs. So I'm not really worried about the back end of the bullpen.
Well, and I think that's what we were all waiting on with the starting rotation is, okay, they'll make a trade to be able to get that guy, right? And it's no secret that everybody in this room is a huge fan of looking at Dylan Cease. And I know some people will bring up his numbers with the White Sox. The White Sox were a complete disaster last year.
Dumpster fire.
He needs a change of scenery. What do you think, though, is more likely the case when it comes to the Cardinals? And let's just say a theoretical trade with Dylan Cease. Do you think it's that the Cardinals don't want to part with some of their prospects, which is what we know that the White Sox want? Or do we think that the value is maybe we see the value in our top prospects, but other teams do not?
We'll know more, I believe, when he does get traded. And I would be surprised if he didn't get traded. I would think that the Cardinals are reluctant to move on from their young players, especially Nolan Gorman, who they think is a 40 home run guy and provides left-handed pop. And left-handed pop is important once you get to the postseason. But it's more important to have a number one starter. And my guess would be that the Cardinals probably are unwilling to part with 25-year-old major league ready performers like that.
I mean, it's a tough thing to try to figure out, right? Do you put more value into the pitching ability of a Dylan Cease or the hitting ability of a Nolan Gorman and what he can be? And I think that's the frustration, and you have a little bit of hesitancy when you're the Cardinals, when you have guys that you have traded away that have gone on to have great success. Mm-hmm. That leads you to be, a little bit more hesitant to make those moves, even though when those moves were made for the Cardinals, they made the moves to help the roster that they had currently. And what happened in the future could not have been on their minds in terms of 4 or 5 years down the road. You're thinking more 1-2 years in the present. But I think if you are in this business of willing and dealing and you know that this team cannot have a year like it had last year, if the question comes up of whether or not to trade a Nolan Gorman for a Dylan Cease, I think you have to make that trade because, again, pitching is what's going to help you win playoff games and win championships.
And that's not going away either, right? After this season, because we know the contracts, we know what you have with Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson and the ages. We've talked about the ages of the starting rotation. You have to have some younger arms that are ready. And hopefully Gordon Graceffo and Michael McGreevy can take that next step, and we will hopefully see them some this coming season. But then that's a gamble in itself, right? You don't know exactly what you're going to get. And so you're going to be in this constant off-season kind of situation looking for starting pitching over and over again until you get a player or a pitcher like Dylan Cease that can give you at least a little bit more security in your starting rotation.
Are you guys comfortable with Palante being part of the bullpen?
He's a young player. I would hope that, there was some growth from last season into this season. So I'm not going to cast him away just yet. I think I would like to see what he does in spring training. But he could be one of those guys that are on the bubble. If he doesn't have a good spring training, then he might not make the team. But if he does, then he'll be here and be a part of the roster and help out.
Okay, you're going to have an 8-man bullpen, and you're going to have 3 left-handers, probably Romero, Thompson, and Jean King. Right-handers, you've got Helsley and Gallegos in pen. And then Palante, Hentz, Graceffo, Fernandez, who they got in the Tyler O'Neill trade, O'Brien, whom they got from Seattle in a trade. They like some of the things that those guys bring, and some of the young players that you got last year at the deadline, maybe a Kloffenstein, maybe a Robertson. I'm not sure, but it sure seems like my point here. There's a spot for a veteran right-handed reliever. That's what I'm thinking.
And by the way, I don't know if you saw the reports this weekend. Somebody texted this in, and this did happen. A Japanese reliever, Yuki Matsui, visited St. Louis here recently. He's 28 years old, has performed really well over in Japan, so that could possibly be an option to add.
Sure. And there's no such thing as making a bad pitching addition. It would be a good thing. I would just like to have a guy just watching from afar and talking to relievers that have pitched for winning teams, championship teams. I believe it makes a difference to have a guy down there that takes a leadership role in the bullpen. And the Cardinals just don't have that pitcher right now. And I think you get a guy that's pitched for Atlanta or Houston or one of the teams that's consistently been there and been successful for them. Those players are incredibly valuable, even if they aren't the guys that put up the huge numbers. It's amazing to talk to guys from that 06 team about how valuable a guy like Russ Springer was.
What about Josh Hader?
That's a different animal.
Spend money.
Yeah, I would love to have Josh Hader on my team, but I don't think that's not who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a big money guy. I would love to have him, but I don't think the Cardinals will go there. I'm talking about the guy that you signed to a 2-year contract for $8 million, and he is as much leader as he is pitcher. I would like to have that guy. And by the way, when you look at what the Cardinals have now throughout their rotation, Sonny Gray's pitched in the playoffs, never pitched in the World Series. Gibson's pitched in the playoffs, never pitched in the World Series. Lynn has pitched in the World Series. Matt's, yes, with the Mets. But you just don't have that guy where you say, that's the guy that the other team doesn't want to see. I don't think the Cardinals have that guy that the other team doesn't want to see.
Sonny Gray doesn't fit that bill?
I don't think so. No, he went 14-18 last year in his starts for Minnesota, an 87-win team. Obviously he can provide innings and he provides a really nice element for the Cardinals. But I'm talking about that win day guy. I'm talking about that Spencer Strider, that Zach Wheeler, that number one pitcher. That's all I think they're lacking at the moment.
Yeah, they definitely feel like they need to add anything. I think it's just very telling that I'm just reading between the lines here, or the tea leaves. It feels like they essentially feel like they have their insurance, right, for this whole pitching staff, and they feel good about it, and this could be the end of the offseason moves.
Yeah, I think that I would guess that it probably is, unless they dip into the Asian market like we're talking about.
Nothing. Again, I thought they did a lot in free agency, but I think that there's still one more move left.
It needs the cherry on top of the sundae, right?
Yeah.
And Benji Molina has said that. Xavier Scruggs told us that. There are a lot of people that, and pretty much everybody up at MLB Network in analyzing the Cardinals offseason agrees with that. But the Cardinals are happy, and the Cardinals have done a lot of winning over the years. So let's see if what they've said and done in the past applies in 2024. Hope it does.
Make it to the trade deadline, right? And by the way, the episode of the 101 on Sports is on YouTube right now with Benji Molina. And we talked about Yadi's return and what that will look like and what he's doing in Puerto Rico and having everything figured out with that so that he can eventually become a manager one day, whether with the Cardinals or with another team. And it's funny, Rainey, that you mentioned the bullpen thing, because Benji was really big on that during the episode of how he really thinks the Cardinals should address the bullpen more this offseason.
All right. We'll be tuned in on our 101 ESPN YouTube channel. Coming up, we're going to talk with the voice of the Red Hot Blues, Chris Kerber, next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you about my experience about riding with Metro Transit. So I just wanted an easier way to get over to the Blues games, and I also love to support public transportation because it's something that's so beneficial for the city, and it's something that other cities wish they had. So one day, I decided to go to a Blues game, didn't want to deal with parking or anything like that, and we have a MetroLink stop that's right by our house. Walked over there, bought an all-day pass, which was just $5, Randy, and it took me right over to Enterprise Center. It was so easy, and there were so many people riding with us over the game. It was a really fun experience to have that with everybody else who was going over there. And there's many benefits even if you don't ride.
And Brooke, it's so much fun, especially during this time of year. If you're headed over to the Polar Express at Union Station, if you're going to a New Year's party over at Ballpark Village, it's really convenient. You can explore the city without the stress of driving, no hassles with parking or traffic. It really is a difference maker when you use Metro. And you don't need to let preconceived notions hold you back. Give Metro a chance and experience the benefits for yourself. Thanks to Metro, you don't have to drive to thrive.
It's time for KerbSide with the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
High of 44 here in St. Louis tomorrow, so it's going to get colder and colder and colder. And the Blues head to Florida. They play Tampa tomorrow night, and then they play the Panthers on Thursday night. So they'll be able to, at least during the day, when they're not skating, enjoy the nice warm weather. Chris Kerber, your voice of the St. Louis Blues, joins us here on a Monday morning on 101 ESPN. Kerbs, good morning. How was Chicken and Pickle? Or chicken, not chicken and pickle.
It is chicken and pickle.
Yeah, chicken and pickle, there we go.
Chicken and pickle.
Yeah, how was it?
Place is huge. I had never been to one. I guess there's one in Kansas City, a couple other places. It's fantastic. It's right there in St. Charles, just as you cross the river and you head onto 5th Street. It's on the south side of the highway there, behind the AMC Theater. But I mean, even if you're not a pickleball player, I mean, it's just got. The food was fantastic. The space was great. They had a Sunday brunch. They did they've got like a life-size battleship board. So they got games in different areas to do. I mean, it was actually quite a pretty cool space, and a hell of a lot of people showed up too. So big thanks to O.J. Laughlin Plumbing Company for helping put that on. But it was a fun few hours we had there.
I just missed you because I played on Saturday. Do you play pickleball, Kerbs?
Nope, haven't started yet.
Oh, well, we got to get you going on
that. There. Yeah, we'll get there. A couple injuries keep me off pretty much anything but the buffet, so we'll be all right.
Well, of course, Kerbs, we have to talk to you about this stretch for the Blues here with back-to-back wins, especially with that overtime thriller against Dallas. But I just want to focus on the response from Jordan Kyrou. What have you seen from here recently? And of course, it was great to see the cheers for him and that winner.
Well, look, And people are talking about a response from Jordan Kyrou, and I don't know that it's so much a response from him. I just think that what we saw from him is what you can see from Jordan Kyrou on a nightly basis, and the issue, if there's been one this year, is that it's been inconsistent. Now, I still think he's played his all-around best hockey in terms of conscientious defensive hockey, learning that aspect of the game. And I'm going to go back to something Joe Vitale said a couple of months ago. There's going to be a stretch for a bit here where it wasn't going to be surprising if some of Jordan Kyrou's numbers were down. And that's because you could see he was clearly focusing on what he was being asked to do in terms of becoming a better all-around 200-foot player. And in time, he'll figure out how to get it all together. But a 77-point player or a 72-point player that's minus 39 doesn't do as much for you as a 60-point player that's plus 15 or plus 20, right? So, I think you got to look at it like that. Now, what I think you did see, though, was you saw, obviously, on Thursday night, an upset player that didn't realize the impact of what he had said, but still faced the music very well. And then he came out, and the timing of having a great game was just spectacular. So from that aspect of it, you're happy for him. And I said this on the KerbSide podcast, too. Listen, I applaud the fans a lot here. I don't blame them for what they're expressing their feelings on Thursday night. And then I'd also thought that I think the fans had a better response maybe than Jordan Kyrou when they recognized it as well. And then they said, okay, yeah, we got on you, but we got your back because you're our guy. And I thought it was fantastic. So, and all around great night. And I was happy to see Jordan have a big night.
Kerb's only a couple of games in, but what, if any, differences have you seen in this team under Drew Bannister in comparison to Craig Berube?
I think, they're being asked to do the same thing. I think it's just, I think the shakeup probably, causes a little more focus and a little more reality there. There's a couple of things that jump. I think the pace in these first couple of games has been really good. The success of the power play, yep, like you said, small 2-game sample size there, but the success of the power play was absolutely enormous against the Dallas Stars on Saturday night. So we'll see if they can build on that one, and then there's something that we've seen him do, and that's that we're seeing pretty much every time that Thomas Buchnevich line is on the ice, we see Parayko and Leddy coming over the boards with him. And it's an interesting approach because you're thinking, okay, well, if we've got our top offensive line that could maybe take a few more risks offensively, we've got a really good shutdown defensive pairing right behind them to defend if bigger mistakes are made. And I like what we've seen from that so far. So I think all those are good things.
Kerbs, we 2 games again, and the team has been playing really well, but they have been inconsistent throughout the entire season. Is this effort and energy that they're playing with now, is that sustainable? Can we expect to see this team that they are right now for the future?
Is it sustainable? Absolutely. Will they sustain it? That's the great question. I do think that some of the habits, some of the team game that had crept in that made you inconsistent, it takes a little while to flush that out. I think, like, for example, against Ottawa, they made some of the same mistakes that they were making, but they made them against Ottawa and not the Colorado Avalanche, right, or the Vegas Golden Knights. So it doesn't maybe necessarily end up in the back of your net. It was a cleaner game on Saturday against Dallas. And this is the challenge that this team's going to have right now, is they're playing this stretch of hockey where they're playing a lot of teams. And when the stretch of hockey of 15 games started, even the Ottawa Senators were at 500. There were only 2 teams below 500. So now you're going to go down and you're going to play Tampa, who's battling for their playoff lives. And, of course, we know how good they can be, especially with Kucherov on home ice. And then you're going into Florida, and they're third in their division. This is going to be some tough hockey ahead, but they've shown with the game they played against the Dallas Stars what that game looks like if they're going to be successful. So is it sustainable? I think it absolutely is. I think the one thing you got to be encouraged with is Saturday night is they fell down 2-0 and they didn't just fold up 10. They battled back and got the win, and that is something that we hadn't seen a lot of so far this year.
Kerbs, it'd be unfair to try to compare Colton Parayko to the Victor Hedmans of the world, even when just the typical Norris Trophy winner. That being said, when I watch Colton Parayko play, it's hard for me to imagine that he can play better than he's played this year.
Randy, how many times did his name come up in interviews and stuff we did last year? And I was real adamant of, look, he's fine, right? Mm-hmm. Colton Parayko is 6'6" defenseman that can skate. I still haven't seen a forward that can catch him when he starts to skate. The game last year against Edmonton, when he skated up the ice and Draisaitl gave up trying to chase him down.
Right.
Colton Parayko, look, you go back and I spent some time studying his numbers here before the last game. In games where he's played, because against the Ottawa Senators, he played 26-38. I think in his career, and forgive me if this is off just by a number or two because I don't have my notes in front of me on this, but he played 35 games in his career in the regular season where he had played 26 or more minutes, and the Blues had a record that was something like 12 games over 500 with him doing that. And that's not a coincidence because he's that good of a defenseman. When your good defensemen play that much, you're probably going to be fine. You had the stretch. You had COVID, then you had he tried to play with 2 herniated discs in his back. Finally got through that. If you go back and you look for even power play time, he was on the power play. He was on a second power play unit when the Blues won the Stanley Cup.
Right.
He had power play time each of his first 4 years. That came to a grinding halt when the Blues signed Torrey Krug. Go look at his shot attempts on the power play each of his first 4 years. He didn't have a lot of power play points, but 54 shot attempts, 72 shot attempts. Remember, we're talking about power play right now that doesn't shoot the puck much, right? Go look at what it was there. He can handle it. He can do it. Tarasenko's not on the ice right now to yell at him when he shoots the puck, right, on the power play. Okay. This guy has a bigger game. I talked to Mike Van Ryan early last season. Maybe it might have been the season before, and when we're getting a lot of questions on Colton. And I said, hey, am I missing something? He goes, Kerbs, if he was on the power play, he'd have 50-something points, and we'd be talking about one of the top defensemen in the league. And when I talked to Al McInnes later on about him, he goes, the moment we move a guy like that is the moment we're looking for a guy like that. And look at what he's doing this year. Healthy, the ice time, the focus on the play in front. Look, sometimes goals are going to go in against you. I mean, you get it. That happens to everybody. But when Doug Armstrong said that he's back to playing at a Canadian Olympian level, I think you got to be really happy with the game that he's brought this year. And, at some point in time, I'd like to see him get back out on that power play and start ripping some shots.
Kerbs, I was just going to say, for the lack of success of this power play, I find it really curious that he hasn't gotten that opportunity on the power play.
I find what's more curious about why he hasn't gotten that opportunity on the power play is the power play has struggled, right? I mean, so go back to 2 years ago when you had a top 5 power play and he wasn't one of the guys on it. You're not going to mess with that. But it's different with Noah Riley, Noah Perron and stuff. With the power play struggling, I was surprised that we just haven't seen him get that opportunity just to change it up a little bit. Put him on the left circle with a one-time shot and let it rip. So will it happen? I don't know. I'll tell you what, 26 minutes against Ottawa and no power play time was doggone impressive from a penalty kill and even strength time. But in some respects, maybe he develops into more of that Jay Bouwmeester, kind of player, that's already had more success in terms of the cup and stuff, but at an earlier age. But Colton Parayko is doing just fine, and I think he's going to continue to get opportunity with Drew Bannister here.
Kerbs, enjoy the warm weather, and we will not speak to you before Christmas, so have a Merry Christmas, you and your family.
Yeah, you guys as well. Happy holidays to everybody, and just have a safe, great week with schools getting out, and enjoy the families.
All right. Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you guys. You got it.
That is Chris Kerber. He is the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN. By the way, the Blues at Tampa tomorrow night and then at Florida to take on Matthew Tkachuk and the Panthers on Thursday. And then Saturday, the 23rd, home against the hated Blackhawks. So that'll be good. And then they're off until the following Wednesday when they take on the Stars here in St. Louis.
See how these couple of games go out of town and get back here against the Blackhawks. See what they do.
Hashtag LGB.
There you go.
And Thomas.
And Dorpchenko.
Yeah.
And Dorpchenko. There we go. Coming up, we've got the fight. Do you need a fighter, Matthew, or did I get beat on Friday?
No, we need a fighter.
Okay. The text line is open.
Did you? Come on.
What? 314-399-9646. 314-399-YO-HO. I want you to text in with the word fight and your name, and perhaps Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN. Cody Schrader and Mizzou play in the Cotton Bowl December 29th, and if you aren't going to be down there, you need to go to the Fenton Bar and Grill. That's where Cody Schrader hangs out while he's in town, and the Fenton Bar and Grill is going to host the largest Cody Schrader Mizzou watch party at 7 o'clock on December 29th, and they're going to have a giant 12 by 6 foot TV truck out in the parking lot, multiple heating stations. All of the TVs inside will be tuned to the Mizzou-Ohio State game. Happy hour app specials during the game, including the greatest trash wings that you'll ever enjoy. No need for reservations. Plenty of room at the Fenton Bar and Grill on the 29th. And all Lutheran South alumni, come on out to the Fenton Bar and Grill and watch Cody Schrader and the Tigers as they go against Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. It's going to be a lot of fun. And oh, by the way, this holiday week, if you're going to get together with a friend or a family member for a lunch or a dinner or a happy hour, head to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. Have those beautiful trash wings, a great menu, great people that you're going to be talking to, including Megan and Kelly and Alicia and Ashley. Say hi to the crew and know that when you go out there, you might see me. When you stop by the Fenton Bar and Grill, tell them Randy sent you. It's the Fenton Bar and Grill.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues with a big win on Saturday over the Stars 4-3 in overtime. It was Colton Parayko who buries the game-winning goal just 27 seconds into OT. Kyrou and Thomas picked up the assist. Kyrou on the game, 1 goal and 2 assists. Robert Thomas as well had a 2-assist game for the Blues. Blues are back in action coming up this week with a 2-game swing in Florida. They play the Lightning on Tuesday night and the Panthers on Thursday evening. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by La Liga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
On 101 ESPN. Please welcome Randy Kerber.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Andy. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good, Kerry. How are you?
Doing well. Are you ready to take on Randy Kerber?
As ready as I'll get.
All right, here we go. What is the earliest playoff round that Patrick Mahomes has been eliminated as a starter? Is it the wild card, divisional, or conference championship?
I think it's the conference championship.
Question number 2. James Cook's 221 yards from scrimmage yesterday are the second most in franchise history behind only this undrafted running back. Is it Mike Sellers, Fred Jackson, or Dominic Rhodes?
I'm going to say Rhodes.
In each of the first 3 decades, post-merger Super Bowls, one conference won 8 of the 10 Super Bowls. The AFC in the 70s, and then the NFC across the 80s and 90s. Which is the only AFC team to win a Super Bowl from 1980 to 1990? Is it the Dolphins, the Broncos, or the Raiders?
From the 80s to the 90s?
From 1980 to 1990.
And it's, okay, the Super Bowl or the playoff?
Which was the only AFC team to win a Super Bowl from 1980 to 1990?
Okay. Can you repeat the answers again, Kerry? I'm sorry.
No problem. Dolphins, Broncos, Raiders.
Say Raiders. It's a bad guess, but okay.
Final question. Christian McCaffrey has matched Marshall Faulk across a number of stats and records, including scoring 7 touchdowns against one team in a season. Which team did Marshall tag for 7 scores in his record-setting 2000 season? Was it the 49ers, the Saints, or the Falcons?
All football? Really, all football?
NFL.
I'll go Saints.
All right, we will double-check our score, and we will bring in Randy Kerber. Kerry, can you double-check the score for me?
I do apologize, sir. Andy, I take it all football was not what you were hoping for today.
I'm taking it. You don't need a calculator.
He might. You know what?
know.
Rock might still need a calculator. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Randy is walking. He's got an empty plastic bag. What was in there? Grapes? Oh, you ate them all. Okay. That means you're fueled and ready to go.
Fueled and ready to go.
I haven't seen you with a Diet Dr. Pepper in a while. I'm wondering what's going on.
No, I
have it out there.
I have my share of Diet Dr. Pepper.
I haven't seen it. I'm just checking.
We'll take
been
care of that.
a healthier option as of late with Propel.
Yeah, we'll take care of that this week for you.
Just checking. Randy, say hello to Andy.
Andy, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You don't have a chance.
I figured that was the case.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Figured that was the case. So you went without, if I don't have a chance, you went without the options. I'm taking it.
Without the question.
All right, Randy, here we go. What is the earliest playoff round that Patrick Mahomes has been eliminated as a starter?
Well, they played in 5 consecutive AFC championship games. So I'm going to say the earliest that he has been eliminated has been the AFC championship game.
James Cook's 221 yards from scrimmage yesterday are the second most in franchise history behind only this undrafted running back.
For the Buffalo Bills? Undrafted running back for the Bills. So that would rule out Thurman Thomas, which is interesting. I figured that he would have been the guy. And that rules out Marshawn Lynch, who was a 4th-round choice. Who was an undrafted running back for the Buffalo Bills? O.J. Simpson was not undrafted. Jim Braxton was not undrafted, I don't think. Nobody's popping into my mind. Brooks, I'll use the lifeline here.
Alrighty, Mike Sellers, Fred Jackson, or Dominic Rhodes?
I think I'll go with Fred Jackson. He had some good games as a member of the Buffalo Bills.
All right, Randy. In each of the first 3 decades of post-merger Super Bowls, one conference won 8 of the 10 Super Bowls. The AFC in the 70s and the NFC across the 80s and 90s. Which is the only AFC team to win a Super Bowl from 1980 to 1990?
Between 1980 and 1990, an AFC team that won a Super Bowl.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, Pittsburgh did not win in the 80s. Miami did not win in the 80s. The Raiders, the Raiders won in 83, but didn't win after that. The traditional ones. So those are the traditional Pittsburgh. So out west, Chargers didn't, Chiefs didn't. Broncos did. They didn't win one in the 80s, but they won in the 90s. So would that count, their 2 wins?
1980 to 1990.
Oh, 80-90.
Yes.
Okay, I thought it was 80s and 90s.
Yes.
Okay, so you had the Raiders winning in 1980 over the Eagles, right? The 80 season. And then they won in 83. So that would be the Raiders that would be the team that did that.
The Raiders.
Final question.
Awesome.
Christian McCaffrey has matched Marshall Faulk across a number of stats and records, including scoring 7 touchdowns against one team in a season. Which team did Marshall tag for 7 scores in his record-setting 2000 season?
2000 season, 7 touchdowns against one singular team. I'm thinking that because he had 4 against the Saints at the end of the season, that it might be the Saints. What year was this again? Did we say
2000?
2000.
Yeah, I will go with the New Orleans Saints.
This was a very close fight between Andy and Randy, despite the fact that Andy did not like the theme of today's questions.
Not at all.
Despite the theme, did Andy come out with a win, or does Randy Carricker take his winning streak from last week and roll it over into Monday? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
You're just gonna keep going. Just keep going. Give me all of them. Gotta run.
Spanning the barrel like a Western gunslinger over there, Randy. Jeez. Sorry, Andy. Randy Carricker beat you 3-2 in today's fight.
See, I could take a few more of those.
It was a tough one. All football. Let's go through the questions and answers. The earliest playoff round that Mahomes has been eliminated as a starter. Never before the conference championship. That's the earliest. Like you said, 5 straight for him as a starter. So that's the earliest. James Cook's 221 yards from scrimmage yesterday, the second most in franchise history. Fred Jackson went off for 227 in a Bills uniform. That is the franchise record. In each of the first 3 decades out after the post-merger Super Bowls, one conference won 8 of the 10 Super Bowls. The AFC in the 70s and the NFC across the 80s and 90s. The Raiders were the only team from the AFC to win across the 8 from 1980 to 1990. They won in 1980 and they won in 1983. Randy, the first decade post-merger, 1970s, the only NFC team that won was the
1970s would have had to been the Cowboys.
Would have been the Cowboys. In the 1990s, the only AFC team that won.
This would have been the Niners' years. Denver
Broncos. And in all 3 decades, but the team that won 2. Dallas in the 70s, Raiders in the 80s, Broncos in the 90s, and then there's been a ton more parity since then. Just a crazy little first 3 coincidence across the first 3 decades post-merger. And Christian McCaffrey has matched Marshall Faulk across a number of stats and records, including 7 touchdowns against 1 team in the season. Randy, it was actually the Week 3 game against San Francisco, and then a few weeks later they played again early in the season. He ripped off 3 rushing touchdowns in Week 1, and then he combined for 4 touchdowns, 2 through the air and 2 on the ground against the 49ers. His stat line against the 49ers in the 2000 season, 44 carries for 217 yards, 5 per, with 5 touchdowns, and 13 catches for 126 yards. That's 10 per, with other 2 touchdowns. So he went off for 350 yards across 202 games against the 49ers in the 2000 season. So Randy Carricker with a 3-2 win in today's fight. Andy, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Who was the D coordinator? Who was the D coordinator of that team? Bet he didn't have a job after that, did he?
Tom was no. I think that would have been too early. Yeah, it would have been too early.
Tom Sula.
2000.
Figure that out.
They should turn on the same old sorry-ass Rams quickly.
Yeah, Mooch was the head coach. So I don't remember who it was, but it was not, they were not good. They didn't have much talent either. All right, thanks, Andy.
Their defensive coordinator was Jim Mora.
No, there you go.
Jim Mora Jr.
The junior, yeah.
Jim Mora Jr.
Yeah.
You played for Jim Mora.
Didn't he get the Atlanta job the next year?
Yeah. Well, no, not the next year. He got the Atlanta job in 2002. Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
2002 or 3,
okay.
something like that. Yeah.
Oh wow! Thanks to Andy for joining us. Man, what would happen if I had a chance? It'd be great. Hey, it's interesting to look at the way the Blues roster is assembled and look at the way that it's kind of taken a toll on the coach, the first coach. That's next time, 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, you know as you shop that vehicles are expensive. And the higher interest rate you're going to pay, the higher your payment is going to be. And you don't need to do that if you go to AutoLoanPro.com. AutoLoanPro.com is going to get you a great interest rate, and it'll reduce your payment dramatically. If you use the finance manager at your car dealership, he's going to say, yeah, we're working with this bank, and you're going to probably have one, maybe two options. With AutoLoanPro.com, they're working with over 50 different lenders that are competing, and they're going to help you get the very best financing with little to no money down. They're going to work really hard to make sure that you get the best rate possible. It's really important to do this. I never thought about it with AutoLoanPro.com that you should actually, like you do with a house, go find the best interest rate and the best loan for you. And with vehicles averaging $50,000 now, it makes sense to get the lowest payment and to get the best loan that you can from AutoLoanPro.com. Financing a car, there's one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro at AutoLoanPro.com. Our buddy Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues insider from The Athletic, talked to Craig Berube about his departure. And one of the things that came up was the roster construction and whether or not the Blues post-Stanley Cup team really ever fit what Craig Berube wanted. And that was noticeable as soon as they let Alex Pietrangelo walk out the door, and a wee fella like Torrey Krug, who's not the biggest defenseman, was brought in to be a key member of the defensive group. And they never did have the sort of size and grit that they possessed in 2018-19 and then 19-20 before things fell apart because of COVID. And I know it's hard to build a team that way, but I always got the impression that, and I mentioned this on the air, that after 1920, they never really had what I thought was a Berube team, even though he was on board with it and would never say anything about it. It just didn't seem like they had the big forechecking, long-armed, long-sticked defense that they had, and obviously forechecking up front. It just never seemed like they had that roster that they enjoyed when they had so much success in those first 2 years under Berube.
Well, and that's something that even Doug Armstrong mentioned in that press conference, right, is that, you can't keep the band together, which I think people totally understand, but because of this, I think a lot of people will start looking back at everything going back to the whole Alex Pietrangelo situation and whether or not that they should have kept him. I think hindsight's always 20/20, and you see the situation now and you wonder, was there a way they could have kept some of those guys here if they would have figured out a way to keep Alex Pietrangelo? That's going to always be the biggest question. You can't go back in time, but it felt like once those contracts were signed with Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou, it was signaling in a new era for the Blues, that they were turning into a different team.
I think you got to coach the guys that are here. And I think if you have a certain style of play and realize that you don't have the personnel to run that style of play, then you have to shift some things around and be more able and willing to adapt and adjust. And not saying that Craig Berube was unable to do that, but I think that there was some sort of disconnect between him, and the players and how those things were being communicated. As we heard Armstrong say, I would talk to Craig Berube about the game plan and what the meeting would be about, what the game speech would be about, and then I wouldn't see those things in the game. And so there's a disconnect from what the coach is telling you to do or what the coach is expecting you to do and then what you're going out there and doing. And it gets people fired. And I think it's all an unfortunate situation, but to I guess, concern yourself or concern ourselves with the roster and what was there and what wasn't there. They're all NHL players. They all have an expectation and a standard to uphold. And I just don't think the players upheld that standard well enough for Craig Berube to keep his job.
And whether or not they fit is open to debate. But we do know this, that Drew Bannister in the minors is coaching people like Bolduc and Dean, who are both smaller. One's 176 pounds, the other's 187 pounds. We know that Torrey Krug is going to be here because he doesn't want to go anywhere. We know that Scott Perunovich is likely to be here. We know that this is going to be a smaller, quicker, hopefully more skilled team, which probably does fit a guy like Bannister. I don't know his coaching style, but I would assume it fits his coaching style better than it fits Berube's coaching style. And if you go back to Doug Armstrong's postseason press conference in 2016, as he was about to let David Backes walk away, he talked about how this is becoming a faster, more deft league. It was, and it is. If you look at the teams that are winning Stanley Cups, they are faster. There is definitely a space for heavy, but not everybody needs to be heavy to win. If you look at Makar and Girard on the blue line for Colorado, if you look at Nathan McKinnon up front, they're not the biggest guys in the world, but they obviously are playing to a high level of success. And you need to have somebody willing to build a system around smaller guys, which Bannister clearly has done with Springfield.
Yeah, which he has. And then now you're 2 games in, and it's that whole effect we were talking about. Is this actually sustainable? Is this what we're seeing, something that they can actually hold on to? Or is this just a thing that we keep seeing in the NHL is when a new coach comes in, then a new voice comes in, and the players kind of rise to the occasion of that?
I would hope that, like Berube did, that Bannister can earn the job. Hopefully he'll get to a point where the Blues and the front office thinks, well, we aren't going to do any better than this. Hopefully he does so well that they get to that point, because otherwise it seems like it's just going to be another recycle. We talked about all the recycling in the NHL. I'm on board with giving a new person some opportunities, getting some fresh blood in the coaching ranks in the NHL.
Yeah.
I think that's in every sport.
Yeah, I agree.
I think just, flushing out all of the guys that have done it for a long time and just keep, getting job after job after job. You got to have some new faces and some new people coming in at some point.
Yeah. And
makes the league healthier.
Yep. You guys are on board with the Blues having the miracle comeback this year, like they did in 2019. You're on board with the person that plays Drew Bannister.
Oh yeah, Stanley Tucci.
He's
Stanley Tucci.
Is this what is happening, or is this the Jordan Kyrou? Is the movie the Jordan Kyrou, the comeback story?
Yeah, the comeback story. Yeah,
the comeback story. Who plays Jordan Kyrou in a movie? This is very important information that we have to get to the bottom of.
They have to be athletic, don't they? You have to skate. You can't have the stand-in, the fill-in doing the skating.
Well, they kind of do. You've seen in movies where they kind of do the cutaways and the heads turn, so you don't exactly see who it is. You know, so you can put somebody in there, and then it cuts back to a close-up of their face.
Holy cow! I might have a guy for you, and I don't even know his name, but I see him.
What is he in? Do you know what he's in?
I don't. I'm sorry. I just. Oh, here we go. Miles Teller.
Miles Teller.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Google Miles Teller.
Yeah, I can see it.
You know what? Yeah.
Miles Teller is tall.
But
very tall.
The
Excuse me,
facial
very tall.
structure, it's there. I can see that.
I can see. Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you.
I'm okay with that.
Somebody said Adam
really
Driver. Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves might be a little bit older. Yeah.
We got some options to work
Miles
with here.
Teller is a good one.
Thank you.
That's a very good one.
That is a good one. Yeah.
All right. Coming up, we've got our rush hour reset for you here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hey, guys, you've got this week to find the perfect gift for her, and I've got it. I've got the perfect gift for her. It's the gift of me time with a Massage Envy ME gift card that she can use for a massage or a facial or a stretch session. It's so easy. Now through December 31st, when you buy $100 in gift cards, not only do you get the gift card, but you get a $20 promo card to keep for yourself or add to someone else's gift. Massage Envy, where better begins. Offer good in location only, not available online. Terms apply. See franchise location for details of Massage Envy.
Chicken and Pickle is now open on St. Charles Main Street. Chicken and Pickle is a family-friendly entertainment spot. It's like being in your favorite backyard year-round, surrounded by all your favorite people. Offering indoor and outdoor pickleball courts, delicious food, over 50 TVs to watch your favorite teams, Sunday brunch buffet, yard games, a full bar, and so much more. Chicken and Pickle is your new go-to for all-day fun. Chicken and Pickle is proudly supported by O.J. Loughlin Plumbing Company. Visit chickenandpickle.com for more info.
Recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
It's 9:05 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers and officially licensed Rolex jeweler Brooke Grimsley, Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis, Randy Carricker. And don't forget, we have our merch sale going on right now. You can join in the holiday spirit by helping 101 ESPN support Operation Food Search throughout the month of December. We partnered with STL Shirt Company to offer a special 101 ESPN online merch store offering T-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. We brought back some of your favorites like the Dunctionary T-shirt, the Be Patient shirt, Jamie Rivers and Brad Thompson jerseys, and if you order any of those during the month of December, proceeds will go to support Operation Food Search. Visit the 101 ESPN online merch store now at 101ESPN.com, powered by McBride Homes. All right, it's time for the Rush Hour Reset. And we've been talking about the Blues, who came away with an overtime victory, 4-3 over Dallas Saturday night over at Enterprise Center. The Blues at Tampa tomorrow night, and then at Miami to take on the Panthers on Thursday night. This weekend, after Craig Berube had been fired by the Blues.
Who?
Craig Berube.
Berube.
Berube, yeah, I think
It's
that's
French.
the French pronunciation.
Berube. So there is some people who still say Berube.
I know, they're wrong.
Do you hear that every once in a while?
I do, yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be
especially
a fun,
from Canadian people.
This is going to be a fun clip for everybody.
Oh, does he
This
say
is,
Berube?
Biz Nasty, Paul Bissonnette on Arizona Hockey Tonight. Sure, that's a heavily viewed show.
Randy!
What? Just saying.
Oh my gosh.
Here's Biz Nasty.
So here's my thoughts on the Kyrou situation. Like, I thought it was so disrespectful the way that he handled the media when he was asked about it. Like, Chief is a legend, even as a player. And then, of course, you won a Stanley Cup there. And I thought the reaction by the fan base was just trying to keep him honest, basically being like, if that's how you're going to treat the coach who brought us the Stanley Cup, and you're not going to have some positive words for a guy who tried to help you mold your game into an NHL-style game. Like, I think Kyrou's got all the skill in the world, but I don't think he's been as receptive to learning the defensive side of the puck. And that was something that him and Berube constantly butted heads about. Is Berube old school, and do those types of coaches have a short shelf life sometimes? Absolutely, but look at how many guys he's helped win a Stanley Cup and help mold Craig Berube. It was interesting to see Kyrou kind of change his tone very fast, but young guy, learning experience, learn from it, move on. But once again, that's just a fan base. They're blue collar, they're cutthroat, and they're going to keep you honest if you're being an entitled brat.
Paul Bissonnette, and that was Saturday night before Kyrou obviously had scored the 3 points and had been accepted back into the hearts and minds and souls of Blues fans.
He's on the outside looking in for a while, wasn't he?
Oh,
yeah, he kind of was.
I don't like it out here.
Even People Magazine did an article about Jordan Kyrou and the booze and the crying.
Well, Biz Nasty looks at a guy like Craig Berube as a legend. When you're into People Magazine and you're all over the YouTubes, you're probably not thinking about Berube being a legend.
Mm-hmm. No, it definitely portrays a whole different side of it. But the whole situation, Biz is exactly right. And it's what we've been saying, too. This is hopefully a learning lesson. It was a hard learning lesson, but also it just shows you how the fans are very understanding, too. Because I thought it was great that Jordan Kyrou went out there after that. His comments went viral about Craig Berube, and he went and stood in front of media members after the game and made sure to show, okay, I'm going to correct my comments on this. I'm going to say something better. Craig Berube did mean a lot to me as a coach, and I thought that was good. And the fans accepted him back, one, because he clarified his comments, two, because of his play in that game.
I think because he played better.
Yeah, he did.
You can do a lot of things. I mean, as a professional athlete, you can do a lot of things. But as long as you play well, people tend to forget.
I think one of the things in this town, and this is a good lesson for management people and coaches and managers in this town, too. Accountability is a big thing, too.
Yeah.
If you are accountable and you own what you do or what you say, it earns respect in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I grew up here. I've been in radio for 40 years here. Accountability goes a long way in this town.
Well, yeah, because it's like what Biz was saying. This is a blue-collar, hardworking town. The players who are appreciative.
We're cutthroat, too, by the way.
Yeah. Very cutthroat. But that's because they care, and this is such a huge lifeblood of this town. The Cardinals and Blues. That's what everything revolves around.
I hope this was a moment for Jordan Kyrou to understand, his position in this city and on this team. I think that was a moment where, you may have saw the maturation. It may have taken something like that, being booed for the comments that you made, to realize the importance of, wow, it really is impactful to the people that are here. Sometimes as a player, you get in your own world and the outside noises. It's a good thing you are able to block them out and not pay attention to them. But sometimes you need a dose of reality, and I think he got that. And hopefully that's the thing that spurs him forward to continue to play well and play hard every single night. because he saw in a difference of, I guess, 24 to 48 hours what one side looks like compared to the other side.
And by the way, Chief will be on our airwaves at 1:15 with BK and Ferrario this afternoon. Looking forward to that. And they'll ask him about the comments from Jordan Kyrou.
It's amazing. Our mics are everywhere to get that.
Yeah, well, Alex Ferrario, man, he's a hardworking guy. Gets in the room.
By the way, a very important update. Somebody texted this in. Nick Jonas for Jordan Kyrou in the comeback biopic called Jordan Kyrou's Comeback.
Is Nick Jonas an actor, too, in addition to being a singer?
He was on a TV show on Disney, so I don't know if it's the best acting.
So not really. Can he play hockey?
Can he play hockey? Oh, Randy, that doesn't matter. We already established that you can do some cutaway shots where you can't see him exactly skating.
Oh, so it's going to be the
great call, though. Great call. Okay, I like the
Let me tell you something, man. When I watch football movies and I see certain things, I get so disturbed, and I'm like, come on, man. No, nobody there has ever watched or played football that put this.
You need to consult
me. I can consult for all of your football movies and make it realistic as possible.
My thought about football movies is this: what's the good of having a square jawline and a six-pack abs if I can't throw a football like not looking like a nerd?
That was
not looking like a nerd.
I'm just saying.
So the big build-up game yesterday in the National Football League was Buffalo and Dallas. Man, my Cowboys. Down 21-3.
How about them Cowboys?
At halftime, down 24-3. Early in the fourth quarter when Buffalo just rubbed some salt into the wound.
Cook again. Why not? James Cook through everyone, and he scores again.
James Cook.
How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? 31-10 was the final. James Cook, 179 yards on the ground. And, oh, by the way, if you weren't aware of it, earlier in the season, the Cowboys did get beat, and it was just an off day. It happens, and Kerry, you played in the NFL. You're going to have the odd 42-10 loss.
Yeah, you should compete every day, every chance you get. You only got, 17 of them guaranteed.
Yeah, this is a team that lost 28-16 at Arizona. They lost at Arizona, Kerry.
I've said this all season. The Cowboys, there are a few teams that have good records, but don't strike me as teams that I believe are going to make a run in the playoffs. And the Dallas Cowboys are one of those teams. They have good wins, but then they have some really tough losses. San Francisco, this game yesterday, you get beat up on and just get punched in the mouth in the way that they do or did. It doesn't look good.
Remember back in the day, holiday, Thanksgiving, Dallas played Minnesota when Randy Moss was a rookie?
Oh, yeah. He had 3 touchdowns and 3 catches. And
next Sunday, Christmas Eve, holiday, the Dallas Cowboys are going to Miami.
Oh.
And somebody's going to find themselves healthy again.
Yes, Tyreek Hill is going to be running past some people.
Yeah, he might wind up with 270.
It's possible.
And 3 touchdowns.
He's trying to get to that 2,000 yards still. Yeah. Don't you hate on that, Rocc? What are you talking
He's
about?
not going to play. He's not going to play enough games.
He's going to play next week and the week after.
He's going to hit 270 yards.
He's playing next week.
We'll see.
He needs what? Like 600 yards?
Talk to me on Thursday if he's playing next week.
And Philly plays Seattle tonight right here on 101 ESPN, 6:30 pregame. Have we seen whether or not Hurts is going to play?
He is questionable with an illness. He did not travel with the team because they didn't want him to get the entire team sick. They said if they would have played yesterday, he would not have played. So maybe a day later he'll be okay. We'll see.
But if not, Marcus Mariota.
Oh, yeah. Mariota. Yeah, I know the Mariota thing always kills me.
Yeah.
Man, that did not... Well, I'm surprised that he's still in the NFL a little bit.
I am too.
He's there. He's hanging on. That era of the Titans was not a fun one.
You don't remember that Titans.
I don't want to remember that version of the Titans.
There is your Rush Hour Reset on 101 ESPN. Coming up, NFL, fair or fraud? It's a new game that we're going to learn the rules to as we traverse this break on 101 ESPN. Hey, do me a favor and make sure that your furnace is good to go for the rest of the winter. You can get in touch with my friends at Hoffman Brothers right now at hoffmanbros.com and get your furnace checked out. And what they're going to do is they're going to have their superb maintenance people come in. They'll take a look at your furnace. They're experts about furnaces. They'll make sure that everything is good, that the pilot light and the area around there is clean. They're going to make sure that everything is good to go. And if there are issues with your furnace that are going to take place over the course of the next year or two, my friends at Hoffman Brothers are going to tell you about it. You can find them on the web, as I mentioned, at hoffmanbros.com, or give them a call at 314-664-3011, 314-664-3011. But it's so important to make sure that your furnace is maintained. Safety for you and your family is Hoffman Brothers' biggest priority. And if they notice anything that looks like it's going out or needs replacing, they're going to bring it to your attention. They are amazing. I love dealing with them. I have for years, and you'll love dealing with Hoffman Brothers too. They are a proud Mitsubishi Electric heating and air conditioning elite contractor. Call today to schedule that heating system maintenance, 314-664-3011, or make the appointment at hoffmanbros.com. All right, time for NFL Fair or Fraud on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Matthew Rocchio is going to give us a subject, and we can say fair or fraud.
Brooke got into this earlier in the show, and so I wanted to open up with this one. It seemed that next year we were just going to see a redux, if you will, of the New York Jets, just with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. But after a 30-0 loss to the Miami Dolphins, Mo Salah's job security for next season, 100% fair or fraud?
Mo Salah?
Robert Salah.
Robert Salah. I was going to say Mo Salah. Sorry, my bad. My soccer just dipped into my head a little bit. Sorry, Robert Salah. I kept saying Mo Salah with all the confidence in my. Just say it with the chest. Sorry,
he's saying
Robert
Mo
Salah.
Yeah, he's saying Mo Salah. Yeah.
You're the best. Mo Salah? No.
No. Robert Salah's job security is set. That's fraudulent. He's. I don't think it's set. I don't think that he should be fired. But I mean, this is a business where winning matters. And people don't care about your excuses. You haven't had a good quarterback. How many years? 4 years? He's had Flacco. He's had Mike White. He's had Zach Wilson. He had Aaron Rodgers for 4 snaps. He hasn't had a group of quarterbacks that you could say that that's a championship level of play. But no, that's how the cookie crumbles. It's life.
Eliminated from playoff contention for the 13th year in a row. I'm going to have to say that his job security is definitely on the line here, just because especially the way in which they lost against the Dolphins. I know that there's a whole situation there, but did you also see on the sidelines the frustrations between Garrett Wilson, and he was kind of unleashing it on Aaron Rodgers? That's the team that is in need of some sort of change.
Why are you talking to Aaron? Ain't nothing he can do.
But Aaron's basically the boss, is he not?
That is where we need the answer. What does Aaron Rodgers think of Robert Saleh?
Yes, and that's the
answer. Going to determine whether or not Saleh has a job next year.
Well, if I'm the front office of the New York Jets, I'm not letting Aaron Rodgers pick anything else.
You already did.
No, I'm not letting him. Exactly. I'm not letting him pick anything else. You brought in Alan Lazard. You brought in Randall Cobb, you brought in Nathaniel Hackett.
Ricky
no,
Wagner.
Sir. No, thank you. I appreciate your services, but you just quarterback. I'll do this.
Well, the problem is, though, if he doesn't like it, he won't come back.
Well, what difference does it make? You get a new quarterback, you get a new head coach.
Cap hit next
year.
year.
Well, and
you
then
come on back and do your job, or we'll figure something out. But I'm not letting him run the organization. He got hurt in four plays.
Yeah, I think they already turned. I think that horse is out of the barn.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You already opened up the door to that by letting him determine a lot of that, of what he wanted coaching staff wise. So that door's already open. And with Aaron Rodgers, I think we can all assume that he does what he wants, and he'll say, "No, this is what I want," and you guys are going to make it happen.
All right, let's stay in the AFC. I'm going to go down to the AFC South because that whole jumble of mess that's going on there in the AFC South right now.
No,
obviously,
we don't have to.
Oh, no, sorry, Brooke.
Fraudulent. Is that not the question?
There's one team that's out of the running in the AFC South. We're not going to really talk about them as much, but there are 3 other teams all at 8-6: the Jaguars, the Colts, and the Texans. So, fair or fraud, the Colts still have a shot in the AFC South.
Oh, fair.
Fair. Definitely. Yes, fair. You go ahead, Randy.
They're playing old school football. They're playing defense. They're running the ball. Gardner Minshew we'll talk about game managers. He's managing the game. They lost their best wide receiver the other night, Michael Pittman Jr. You know what they decided to do? Run the ball.
Yeah.
13 times in a row. I get that the other 2 teams have the quarterback with Lawrence and with Stroud, but the Colts are an absolute threat.
Stroud was dealing with a concussion, so he didn't play, but you have the Colts are going to get their best player back probably this weekend coming up in Jonathan Taylor, who's been out with a thumb injury. So that adds to what they have, and we'll see how well Michael Pittman is after he took that big shot. But I think it's fair. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, for whatever reason, they have – I said this throughout the season, they're a good team, but they still don't strike me as a team that you have to worry about making a deep playoff run because – it just feels like there's something missing. And I saw a stat that Trevor Lawrence leads the NFL in fumbles fumbles since 2021, which is not great.
Not great.
Nope. No. Well, and it feels like they still need to learn, right? Yeah. With their young quarterback, with Trevor Lawrence, I think that the Jags still have some learning to do and some growth, but it's in a positive direction. I know that there's somebody who always, every single day on the text line is a Colts fan, and they like to hold it over my head that the Colts are doing better than the Titans. But I do have to give the Colts credit on this one. They do look like the better team in the AFC South.
The backup quarterback in Gardner Minshew.
Yep. And they're at Atlanta next week, and then they have the Raiders at home, and they finish up with the Texans at home. So the Colts very easily, with Shane Steichen at the helm in his first year, they could wind up in the playoffs.
They just got rolled by the Lions 42-17, but the 7-7 Broncos close out their schedule with the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Raiders.
Maybe not the Raiders.
So the Denver Broncos potentially 10-7, fair or fraud? As a real playoff team.
Ooh, I think it's just fair just because of those teams that they're playing.
I give credit to Sean Payton. Yeah. Sean Payton's done a good job of getting that thing straightened out, too.
It was bad.
Yep.
It started off really bad. It was, you give up 70 points in an NFL game, you got people questioning what the heck you're doing because they weren't looking good to start the season off, but they had that 5-game winning streak where they took care of the football, ran the football really well, played really good defense, and they've done a good job. So I think they may, and now they've lost 2 in a row, but I think they may be a team that finds a way because now they didn't lost 2. They won. They lost yesterday, but they won the week before. They lost 2 out of the last 3. They will find a way into the playoffs because I don't trust the Browns. Definitely aren't trusting the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And so the Broncos may sneak into the playoff picture somehow, some way.
By the way, it seems like the Raiders are going to have an effect on the playoffs.
Really?
Because they're playing really well right now. And even though they had that horrible output offensively against Minnesota, they play good defense. And they play a lot of teams. Let me give you the Raiders' last few games here. And not that they're going to be in the playoffs, but they're at KC.
Yep.
That's
seeding. That's going to be seeding.
They're at Indy, and they've got Denver at home.
And
they can have an effect on the playoffs. Not that they're going to make it, but they can have an effect on them.
They might lose all 3 of those games.
They could very easily.
But I mean, the difference between the Broncos in that last week being 10-7 or 9-8, that's going to shift a playoff spot potentially. One last one here, and mainly just because I want to play this again.
How about them Cowboys?
The Dallas Cowboys as Super Bowl contenders, fair or fraud?
Fraud.
Yes.
Okay. So quick.
That's all I wanted from this.
Should we be looking into a conspiracy theory about why they're so dominant at home, but then it just doesn't translate on the road?
Just pipe it in crowd noise.
Legends Gate.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They're poisoning the team with concessions, Randy.
Well, if Philadelphia can win tonight, Dallas will be a game behind them, 11-3 to 10-4. Dallas is 3-4 on the road, 7-0 at home. Yeah, so we should look into that. Jerry's got something to do with that.
If there's an AI Jerry, maybe AI Jerry's up to something in there.
But if we look now at playoff seedings in the NFC, Dallas would have to go on the road ultimately. Could Dallas beat San Francisco in San Francisco?
No.
Can they beat Philadelphia at Philadelphia?
No.
Can they beat Detroit at Detroit?
That would be a coin toss for me.
At Tampa?
Ooh.
I think they could beat Tampa.
Yeah.
I like Tampa, but I don't think that they are good enough.
And by the way, that would be the first-round game. If the playoffs started today, it would be Dallas at Tampa as a first-rounder.
I would take Dallas in that game.
Yeah.
And then to lose in the second round to either the Eagles or the 49ers. That's what they had next.
All right. That is NFL Fair or Fraud on 101 ESPN. Coming up, more about Mo Salah. No, it's about John Mozeliak.
Mo Dollars.
Mo Dollars.
Do the Cardinals need one more arm in that bullpen? I'll tell you why they do next on 101 ESPN. Speaking of this Christmas holiday, big holiday news from Schnucks. They're giving you the chance to earn $60 in rewards just for doing your holiday shopping. It's the 12 Days of Holiday Rewards event, and it runs through the 24th at Schnucks. Every day during the event, you're going to get the opportunity to earn $5 in Schnucks rewards. Just check the Schnucks Rewards app, view the daily offer, and clip the coupon. Then shop like normal, redeem the coupon, and earn those rewards. Each offer lasts just one day, so be sure to check out the app today and see that day's surprise. And when you go in and you buy all the ingredients for the cookies that you're going to make or all the food that you're going to make for Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, make sure that you check the Schnucks Rewards app before you go. And oh, by the way, if you're having a get-together this week or maybe even for the bowl game, you want to make sure that you use the Schnucks Rewards app to order all of the food that you need. It's the only place to go for all of your food and drink for the holiday season. It's Schnucks, the 12 Days of Holiday Rewards event in the Schnucks Rewards app.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues with a big overtime win on Saturday over the Dallas Stars, 4-3. They'll be back in action this week with 2 games in the state of Florida. They face off against Tampa Bay Lightning on Tuesday evening, and then they face off against the Panthers on Thursday. Also over the weekend last night, a big win for the St. Louis Billikens over Louisiana Tech. They were down late in the game with just 30 seconds left, and then TJ Hargrove went on to score 11 straight points for the Billikens to seal a 75-74 win. Also, college basketball over the weekend. Illinois with a big 74-57 win over Colgate, while Seton Hall tops Missouri 93-87. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
When you look at really good teams that go to and teams that win the World Series, there always seems to be that veteran presence down in the bullpen. And sometimes that guy is not the best pitcher. Sometimes it's a Chris Stratton type, or at this stage of his career, an Aroldis Chapman type. But it's guys that bring a presence down in the bullpen when you're sitting down there for 7 innings to get young pitchers to relax. And with those guys that I mentioned, Texas had that this year. Houston has had that for multiple years with a guy like Brian Abreu, who's been there for a long time and just did a fantastic job as one of their relievers. But over the course of time, when you look at what Houston did with a guy like Phil Maton, who, oh, by the way, is a free agent right now, with Hector Neris, who's kind of been around the block, it really is beneficial. Will Smith was with the Rangers this year. He's been on 3 consecutive World Series champions with 3 different teams. I'm one of those people that thinks it helps to have a veteran presence, especially down in the bullpen, because those guys are the guys that deal generally with the most pressure. A pitcher that can help teach players how to deal with pressure, to me, is invaluable. And that's why I would like to see the Cardinals spend a little bit of money on one of those guys heading into spring training. And by the way, I don't think that the Cardinals do have a group of relievers where you say, oh, I have to have him on the roster. I think there's multiple guys that could be displaced. Would it reduce the flexibility? Yes. But would it overall improve the bullpen? Yes.
Yeah, I think that that's very interesting, because I was just trying to think about that, about who is probably the most veteran guy out of the entire Cardinals bullpen as it stands right now. So you have Giovanni Gallegos, and hoping that he will have a better season than what he had last year. You have Ryan Helsley, who dealt with injuries, and also doesn't seem like they like to pitch him back-to-back days. And then you have Palante. I'm not doing this in certain order or anything. I'm just trying to think about who are the guys that we saw the most last season. Then you have Andre Palante, who definitely needs to have a better season next year, because that is very vitally important.
And his buddies are gone.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Duverhagen and
the Trinity.
Yeah.
The Holy Trinity.
Who was the other guy?
Who was the other one?
Started with the.
I thought John King was a part of it.
No, it was a right-hander that been around forever. Cody or something?
No.
It was
I have no clue.
We had so many nicknames for these guys.
It's bad that you don't even remember it.
We'll think of it. Well, I'm sure it's a
will come
baseball
to our
reference.
mind.
Just look at the bottom of their ERA list.
Look at the bottom.
Casey Lawrence?
Oh, yes. How could we forget about
Well, part of the
him?
Holy Trinity.
I am so sorry about that.
Me too.
And then you have,
That he even got here.
Jojo Romero.
Yo-yo.
Yo-Yo, who was a positive for the Cardinals last season, and his emergence, especially after Jordan Hicks, there was a lot of concern about who could step up into that role, and I thought that Yoho Romero did a fantastic job. Other than that, who else do you have in this bullpen?
There are
kind of that
There are veteran presences.
There isn't any.
The important. I mean, that's important. Not just for the baseball aspect of it or the professional sports aspect of it. It's the part of it where you're helping young players learn how to be pros. It's hard to make it to the big leagues. It's hard to make it to the NHL or to professional football or whatever. It's harder to stay. And so having that veteran presence in the clubhouse, in the bullpen, a guy that can kind of walk you through and talk you through moments, it can help alleviate some of the stresses that come with being a young player. And so it is important, it is critical, and it is vital to a team to have a guy that not only is down there to talk, but also can play. Because if you can do one without the other, then the veteran presence really serves no purpose. So hopefully they are able to find a guy like that, a good clubhouse guy, a good teammate that can help perform when need be, but also can help mold and mentor those younger players.
And the reason that we're talking about this is because yesterday Tom Ackerman on KMOX asked Mo about the bullpen, and Mo said, quote, "We actually like our bullpen. I think that Helsley, Gallegos, and Romero are a pretty good way to finish a game, and they give you some flexibility. I do feel like Gallegos didn't have the year he hoped last year, but I think ending the season on the IL gave him an additional time to rest."
I don't.
Does this feel like Wilking Rodriguez 2.0?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think I don't know what direction they're going to go. I know they talked about needing more flexibility in the bullpen because they were just kind of stuck. If guys weren't performing well, they couldn't send them down because they, the waivers or being able to send them off to Memphis and bring guys up, just unable to do that with the flexibility that they didn't have. So I know they want to have some of that for this season. And again, just guys that can perform well enough. I still feel like they're a pitcher or two away, and one in the starting rotation, one in the bullpen that is guys that can help this team be better than they were in 2023. So we'll see what's left for what Mo has left in the tank in terms of free agency, or if he decides to go out and make a trade either in spring training or sometime during the season.
Well, and if you want to be sunshine and lollipops, when looking at that interview with John Mozeliak, he didn't exactly close the door on getting another starting pitcher in that same conversation as well when he was talking about the relievers. So if you are looking for something positive or to at least hope for this offseason, it sounds like that's not completely out of the question. And when you're talking about making a couple more moves, that's what it feels like, right? To say that this team can do more than just win enough to get you to the trade deadline where you can make some other moves. It feels like they're just a few moves away. If you're able to go trade for another starting pitcher or get another starting pitcher via free agency, then that bullpen feels a little bit more secure because you have Zach Thompson, you have Matthew Liberatore you moved down, and you could even put Steven Matz back in the bullpen. Right. Which is expensive, but what matters at the end of the day? It's winning and getting the most out of that contract. And if he's able to be really successful like he was last season coming out of the pen, then that would be a huge benefit for the Cardinals.
And would Steven Matz in the bullpen be any different than Andrew Miller in the bullpen?
No.
Same amount of money?
Yeah.
So, what the heck?
Why not? It's not our money. So
Steven Matz did really well when he did go to the bullpen and got corrected and was able to become a starter again. I just want to see him. He had a great spring training, and then it kind of derailed during the season, and he got it back on track. So hopefully he can start spring training off on the right foot and continue it throughout the entire season.
Yep. And by the way, there's a million the free agent relief pitchers out there. So the Cardinals, they could get to probably the 2 days before spring training and sign a guy.
Would you all be surprised if Jordan Hicks and Jordan Montgomery were back?
I would be stunned.
Oh, I would be on the floor.
Jordan
dead,
Montgomery,
probably.
no chance, less
One
than
or the
zero.
other?
I would be really surprised.
What about Jordan Hicks?
I would be surprised.
Neither. Where are they going to go find some help at?
Well, I think, number one, they can find less expensive help than that.
I thought they liked Jordan Hicks. They were. We assumed they were in contract talks with him before the trade deadline.
Yeah, he might be a little bit too expensive for their taste right now.
And he wants to be a closer, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe a starter. Hey, he could also be a starter
There you
again.
go.
Yeah,
Now
there you go. We're cooking.
He might only want to be a closer. He might only want to pitch in save situations.
I think he figured that out towards the end there.
Yeah. He might be one of those guys where he doesn't understand that not every game has a save situation. And you call down to the bullpen and you say, hey, get up,
Need you to get up and go
number
in.
12 in like the bottom of the ninth in a
check
tie
the
game.
score, he's like,
Top of the ninth in a tie game.
what do they want me in here for?
Yeah, and I don't do tie games.
That seems like a very specific situation.
It could happen. Could happen. Coming up on 101 ESPN, we're going to head down the stretch with Rocc Roll. What do we got? We got tickets left? No. All right. We don't have. This is old chicken and pickle because Kerb's already did that. We do have the merch store still open, but we're going to get rock solid take from Matthew Rocchio with Rocc Roll next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, this is Travis Kelce, NFL tight end and proud member of the Lowe's home team. Lowe's knows when you've got the best price, you've already won. That's why we offer the lowest price guarantee. If you find a better price online or in-store, we'll match it. Now you can score on the top brands from the Lowe's home team picks, like Scotts, LG, and DeWalt. So take on your projects with confidence. Lowe's is the exclusive home improvement retail partner of the NFL.
Price match applies to same item, current price of qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Mizzou Wrestling is heading to St. Louis. The Tigers will face the Illinois Fighting Illini in a special onstage wrestling duel at Stiefel Theater. The rivals will square off on Thursday, December 21st at 7 p.m. in the Mizzou to the Lou duel. Tickets start at just $10 at Ticketmaster.com. Purchase yours today. VIP ticket packages, which include onstage, mat-side seats, and pre-event hospitality, are also still available. Details at MizzouToTheLou.com. That's MizzouToTheLou.com.
Hey, you're going to be spending a lot of family time during the holidays, and if the conversation turns to either upsizing or downsizing your home, you need to get in touch with my friend Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, because she's reliable, she's experienced, she's trusted, and when you get to know her, she is going to be able to sell your current home so that you can get the new one. Gloria's name is her promise and really says it all. The name of the company, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's mastered the home selling selling promise by guaranteeing upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed-to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, guaranteed. Does your agent compare? Gloria has solutions for every type of home seller. For sellers who want a fast sale with no hassles, Gloria's 24-hour cash offer solution is a great option to consider. No showings, no costly repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer bid from Gloria's database of buyers in what she calls her cash offer bid box. It's fantastic. Call Gloria Lou, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One.
I want to rock. And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Time for Rock and Roll. Matthew Rocchio, what do you got for us today?
Well, something happened over the weekend, and credit to some texters who texted us about this that wanted us to talk about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about it, because over the weekend, the MLS has announced that they will not be sending their first teams to the U.S. Open Cup, also known as the Lamar Hunt Open Cup, next season. They will be sending the MLS Next clubs for each respective franchise. The reaction around this has obviously been very negative. The Open Cup is the oldest soccer tournament in America, first played in 1914 here in St. Louis. We have a special connection to it because it's the only thing that St. Louis's long soccer history kind of still has, is still real, because there have been 5 times across the U.S. Open Cup's history, obviously very early in its history, where 3 different STL clubs hoisted the U.S. Open Cup championship 5 different times.
When's the last one?
It was the 1950s, I believe.
Okay.
And so, in reaction to this noise, the St. Louis supporters groups, Florida Noise, No Nap City Ultras, St. Louis City Punks, STL Santos, STL Louligans, and the Thieves released a statement saying essentially they will not do any supporters group events around the United States, around the Open Cup games, until the league figures this out and rectifies the problem again. You pull off the first teams, you completely lessen how important it is, and part of this is one of the reasons that MLS fans are angry is because it seems like a cash grab, because you get rid of this from the first team schedule because there's too many games. One of the reasons there's too many games on your schedule is because you expanded the Leagues Cup, which a lot of people see as a money grab from the United States and Mexican leagues, which it's 2023 and we're talking about sports, so of course it's a money grab. So these people are mad that they're getting rid of the U.S. Open Cup.
Fans are going to disrespect these young men who are just trying to play a game, just trying to get out there and win. They aren't going to support these youngsters.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, my apologies. They will go. They will not do anything at any of the Leagues Cup games. So I guess they're still going to do U.S. Open Cup games to support the youngsters.
Good,
but they will completely boycott the Leagues Cup fixtures for the STL City. By the way, you might not remember, by the way, but Club America, that was the Leagues Cup block for St. Louis City. If you remember that time in July where they didn't play any games, they got rolled by a Mexican team, and then they didn't really do anything else.
So what you're telling me is they aren't going to come to games that aren't being played.
Well, the Leagues Cup games are played. They're just not maybe the most known.
Not if you lose the first one, though, right?
Well, it's a group thing. So you have
how many did St. Louis City play at home last year?
They played 3 games. I think they played 2 of them at home
in the Leagues Cup.
I believe so, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I gotta go. There's a lot of different formats across all these tournaments. I forget which one's which sometimes.
That's good. That's an opportunity for people that don't ordinarily get a chance to go to City Park to watch some games, right?
And to see some teams that don't usually come through here go to games. But essentially, they're angry.
Is Messi coming?
And the reason why they're angry, of course, is The U.S. Open Cup also,
And Christian.
it was the only tournament that involved teams outside the MLS. So STLFC, which of course played out at Soccer Park, they actually won a bunch of games against MLS teams through the Open Cup when they were still a team. They beat the Chicago Fire. They made this incredible run. So there's a lot of fans from the get-go who started at the base with St. Louis FC who saw that as a way for smaller clubs to get some recognition, and now you're taking that away from those teams and basically saying you don't even get to play MLS clubs anymore. You get to play our academy teams. Have fun.
I am totally on board with the supporter section, 100%. I'm glad that they're supporting the youngsters.
There you go.
And if it's a cash grab and you can avoid a cash grab, then avoid a cash grab.
I just don't know. I mean, can you avoid cash grabs in sports nowadays?
You can
a cash grab.
You can always put your tickets on the StubHub.
And here's my thing. The Garber came out and pretty much said we made
That's
this.
Don Garber, commissioner of
Don
MLS.
Garber, the commissioner of the MLS, came out and said we made this move because teams weren't putting their number one players out throughout the early rounds, and they would wait until the championship rounds to actually play their first team players. Again, you're going to now get U.S. Open Cup games that are all young players, but now the teams will not have the option of adding the talented players in the later rounds when it becomes a championship game. So
Talented
I think
players?
Well,
or
Randy,
older
come on now.
players?
More veteran players.
Okay.
And so I just think you lose.
Denigrate the talent of these young men.
It's a good thing. The U.S. Open Cup has always been a good thing. City, when they played the U.S. Open Cup games, used it as a way to get younger players in, guys like John Klein. So you can already use that as a way to highlight young players. Why take away the ability for a team to take it seriously like it's a real part of their schedule by just saying first-team players cannot compete in the tournament at all? I also think a lot of people are wondering, why is the MLS making a move to just change it? Because they think the prestige has been problematic.
Go ahead.
Is it the MLS or MLS?
Oh, God.
Oh.
Is it the Major League Soccer? Or is it...
Oh.
It's just MLS.
Is it the Don Garber or is it Don Garber?
The Don.
Okay.
The Soccer Don is his Twitter X nickname.
I guess they're kind of like Major League Baseball in that they don't like the in front of it.
They don't?
I'm not 100% sure on this one.
I would think that it's just MLS.
But hey, by the way, in the supporters group statement they put up on Twitter, they refer to them as MLS and the MLS. So I'm not 100% sure in that one either.
Well, I just want the fans to know that I'm on their side.
Good job, bro.
Yeah.
Listen,
I hung out with the Luligans a few times. I love the Luligans.
Oh,
There
they're very passionate.
Yeah,
things like the
They are the
Leagues
best.
Cup have to happen because you have to get more money in the sport. But that doesn't mean you have to destroy a tournament that's over 100 years old because of the Leagues Cup. There's a lot of congestion, but that's why I think soccer's fun, is because you have the MLS next. You have the Academy. There are random games where you're going to see Miggy Perez or Caden Glover jump up and play. That's a fun part of soccer. I don't know why you should denigrate that or take away from that factor.
I have a question.
Go for
Is
it.
it similar to like the NHL and NHLPA creating like the World Cup? Is this kind of the same?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
The same thought process?
Where they created something to take away from a different tournament that
from
pretty much.
the Olympics.
Because you
Do
have
you get
more,
what I'm
and
saying?
you have more control over it. You get the money from it. Whereas the NHL doesn't get any money from the Olympics. So why should we let our players
So
go
is-
waste time over there?
That's basically what's happening, right? Similar?
a little
to
bit,
that?
yeah. Yeah, I think that's an apt comparison, and like NHL fans,
Big brain stuff
Good
over
job,
here.
Rookie.
MLS fans are pretty ticked off. And this
That's
is
why I was quiet over here. There's a lot of
You over there processing?
This is why I love the supporters group mentality in soccer. The way that they come together across all the different supporters groups. That's what I think another fun part about soccer.
And educated about the history of the sport, which is fantastic. So good. And I hope that what they are protesting, I hope they win. I hope MLS will ultimately capitulate and allow the veteran players to participate in the Lamar Hunt Cup.
And here's the thing: is the MLS has a pretty easy window here. They said this is like a 1-year thing. They were like, we want to do it right now for 2024 to see how it goes. So my guess is they'll get panned. There'll be a lot of different protests around the Leagues Cup games and other things, and they'll probably reverse it after a year.
Good deal. That's our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, was this fun today?
Yes.
How about that?
Is there a question after that?
I was just wondering, you got really mad at me, like, right off the bat when we were talking about Friends.
I didn't get mad at you. I was more concerned because what did you say, Randy?
Nothing.
So, we want to end the show on this, too?
We want to see your face.
Randy wants to say it again.
Well, I just don't want to ruin it for people that didn't get a chance to hear it. Here's the thing. The Friends people, they got $20 million a year. They are getting it in residuals. That's right. And my point was... Not laughing. My point was that if you get $20 million a year, you can just hang out in your pool all day.
And enjoy the summer breeze.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, the beautiful night sky.
Randy, no. No.
Hey, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of our show.
I'll be there for you.
When the rain starts to fall. Until tomorrow morning at 7, have a wonderful Monday, St. Louis.
That's right.